Chapter 240. These people had originally followed Sun Cheng's lead. Now that Sun Cheng was like a dead dog, the others didn't even dare to fart. They were all thinking about how to beg this god in front of them to let them go. Where's Ling Jiling? Su Yin went straight to the point. I'll give you a choice. Either you take me to find her, or you end up like him. Su Yin pointed at Sun Cheng on the ground. Seeing that these people didn't react, Su Yin stepped forward and kicked Sun Cheng's face again. His face, which was already unrecognizable, became even more colorful. Seeing Sun Cheng roll on the ground a few times without any signs of life, everyone suspected that he had been kicked to death. Although it was said that you shouldn't hit someone's face, if Su Yin didn't kick this face into a rotten persimmon, he wouldn't be able to vent the anger in his heart. Coming to Swang was already a mess, but he didn't expect someone to add trouble to him. Wasn't this asking for a beating? Still not speaking? Su Yin looked at one of the youths and said calmly, "If you don't speak, you're next." "I'll speak." That person only met Su Yin's gaze for a moment before he was completely suffocated by the powerful aura and pressure. He knew that the person in front of him would definitely do as he said. If he didn't say anything, his face would be as red as Sun Cheng's. She was taken away by young Master Wei to Uxianhua, Huayuan District. Su Yin nodded and said, "Lead the way." The youths didn't dare to disobey him. They had never seen such a ferocious person before. They could bully weaklings normally, but in front of a truly evil person like Su Yin, they were completely convinced. Su Yin was brought to the Fragrant Rain Garden District by a black Highlander. After getting off the car, under the guidance of these people, they arrived at the elevator of a high-rise commercial building. Because they were afraid of being played, none of these people were able to leave. Among them, 2 of them were supporting the dead dog Sun Cheng, while the other 2 were nervously following behind them. As soon as they left the hotel, the woman ran away. Su Yin ignored her. The few of them went all the way to the top floor. This was the only duplex in the entire building. People without connections and money probably wouldn't be able to buy it. Ding dong. As soon as the doorbell was pressed, an impatient voice came from inside the room. "Who is it? Can't you let me sleep in the middle of the night?" "Young Master Wei." The young man standing in front of Su Yin tried his best to calm his voice and shouted according to Su Yin's instructions. "We've brought the person you want." Hearing this, the people in the room were obviously in a much better mood. They shouted in ecstasy, "Coming right away." Then there was a flurry of footsteps. The moment the door opened, Wei Yechen's face was filled with a smug expression. However, before he could react, he was smashed to the ground by a heavy object. Just as he was about to fly into a rage, he suddenly realized that the person who smashed him to the ground was Sun Cheng, who was already like a dead dog. Bang! As Su Yin slammed the door shut, the 4 young men had already run away. If they didn't run now, when would they? This matter originally had nothing to do with them. They were just bystanders. Looking at Su Yin, who was standing at the door, Wei Yechen's head was about to explode. "Don't you have a F***king gun? What's the point of having a gun?" Seeing that Wei Yechen's clothes were not disheveled, Su Yin was more or less relieved. He looked around the duplex room and shouted with a penetrating voice, "Sister Jiling, I'm here. It's fine now." Soon, Su Yin heard the sound of the bathroom door being unlocked. Then Ling Jiling ran out in a panic. Using her fastest speed, she went around Wei Yechen, who was squatting on the ground, and hugged Su Yin's arm, and hid behind him. If she didn't use the excuse of going to the bathroom to lock the door, she would have been violated by Wei Yechen. Ever since Ling Jiling was forced to this place, she had been waiting for an opportunity to escape. However, after Wei Yechen's bodyguards left, Wei Yechen locked the door. In order to avoid being violated by Wei Yechen, Ling Jiling pretended to be obedient and said that she wanted to go to the bathroom. Then, she happily found a hiding place. Just before Su Yin appeared, Wei Yechen was thinking of ways to get Ling Jiling out of the room. In the end, he had no choice but to smash the door. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been so impatient when he heard the knocking. Now the situation suddenly changed. Wei Yechen didn't even understand why. This brat was really bold. He actually dared to brazenly bring someone back to his house. Looking at his disposition, it seemed that his family had some connections. Otherwise, even the little tyrant of Hadean Silver Spear wouldn't dare to do such a thing, right? Do you think that Suang is your territory? Su Yun narrowed his eyes. Those who knew him would know that Su Yun was in a bad mood when he was in this state. There was no doubt that he hated this kind of bastard who gave him trouble for no reason. Wei Yechen's voice was obviously much more confident than when he was in the highway service area. Let me tell you, this is Suang. This isn't the wilderness on the highway. My father is the leader of Suhong's real estate industry. My godfather is a government official. If you dare to touch me, I guarantee that you won't have the chance to leave Suang alive. Su Yun sneered. Since this brat wasn't related to Green Ghost, he had nothing to worry about. Do you think that your threat is scary? But why don't I feel scared at all? I'll tell you right now. Even if your father is the king of heaven, it's useless. You've touched my woman time and time again. I think that water has entered your brain. Fine. Fine. Take her away now and we'll be even. I'll pretend that nothing happened. I promise that I won't make things difficult for you and Suang. Wei Yechen once again brought up a condition that he thought was very tempting. He pushed Sun Qing away and struggled to stand up. Su Yun laughed in disdain. It seemed that this brat's IQ was too low. It seems that the kick in the service area was too light. Wei Yechen's eyes widened. That kick had almost taken his life. Thinking about it now, he couldn't help but feel his crotch tighten. Just as he understood why Su Yun would say that, it was too late. Su Yun once again kicked the center of Wei Yechen's crotch. This time, Su Yun didn't hold back. The kick contained a lot of force. Not to mention Wei Yechen's balls, even a soccer ball would explode. Wei Yechen only felt a warm flow in his crotch. He didn't know if it was urine or blood, but he clearly felt that something was wrong with his body. Just now, Su Yun's kick had probably turned him into a eunuch. Then, the heart-wrenching pain caused Wei Yechen to scream like a pig being slaughtered. Ling Jiling's mind was filled with the word tragic. She couldn't think of any other words to describe Wei Yechen's pain. Even though she was a girl, when Su Yun's kick landed on Wei Yechen's crotch, she couldn't help but tremble. There were two people on the ground. One was holding his crotch and screaming in pain. The other's face was covered in blood like a dead dog. 2 hours ago, they were still thinking about how to toy with a small celebrity, and how to make the person who offended them kneel and beg for mercy. 2 hours later, they were so miserable that even their own parents couldn't recognize them. Of all the people to offend, why did they have to offend Su Yun, who was in a bad mood? Let's go. Su Yun grabbed Ling Jiling's hand and quickly brought her out of Wei Yechen's room. The screams were too unpleasant to listen to and made him feel disgusted. Ling Jiling had never experienced this kind of thing before. Now that she had regained her senses, she hurriedly followed behind Su Yun and left this troublesome place. However, she was somewhat worried that this Wei Yechen family might really have a lot of power. He knew the hotel they were staying at, and might come looking for them at any time. Looking at the man and woman in front of him disappearing before his eyes, Wei Yechen, who had suffered both physical and psychological damage, completely collapsed. He struggled to crawl to the sofa and frantically searched for his phone. He quickly dialed a number. Godfather. I've been crippled. Xiao Chun. What nonsense are you talking about? If you have something to say, just say it. Godfather is playing mahjong, don't distract me. The middle-aged man who picked up the phone spoke calmly. He didn't notice Wei Yechen's terrible condition at all. Wei Yechen immediately burst into tears. He lost control of his emotions and cried, Godfather, I'm telling the truth. I've really been crippled by someone. My lower part was kicked. Exploded. Hearing this, the middle-aged man who was as calm as a lake a moment ago felt as if a bomb had been thrown into his body. He angrily shouted, What? Following that, the sound of mahjong tiles falling to the ground could be heard. It was obvious that his anxiety and anger weren't faked. Oh, Godfather. What should I do? Wei Yechen tried his best to think of a woman, but he still didn't feel anything. He completely realized that he was really done for. Completely done for. His entire life was done for. Where are you? Do your parents know about this? The middle-aged man's voice was filled with grief and indignation. It was as if Wei Yechen was closer to him than his own son. He couldn't figure out who his godson had offended to be so ruthless to him. He, Wang Ruping, was a dignified first-class police officer and the head of the Justice Department in Suang. He had a strong relationship with the high-ranking officials above him, and the various local forces also respected him very much. After all, he was the protection of those underground forces. Who in Suang would dare to touch his godson? Do you want to die? Wei Yechen cried like a man in tears. I'm at home in Yusen Garden. I didn't dare to tell my parents. Godfather, what should I do? Am I not a man anymore in the future? Xiao Chen, wait for me. Godfather will be here soon. Wang Ruping tried his best to control his emotions and hung up the phone. There were 3 people around him. One was a rich man with a gold chain around his neck. One was a brawny man with an angry dragon tattoo on his shoulder. And one was a refined man with elegant eyes. They all looked at Wang Ruping and asked in unison, Brother Ping, what's wrong? What happened? Is there anything we can do? I don't need your help. Something happened to my godson. I have to rush over immediately. Wang Ruping's face was filled with impatience. Let's play again when we have time. I'm leaving first. You guys continue. Chapter 241. Xiangzi, what's wrong with Chief Wang? Isn't he just a godson? Is there a need for him to care so much? How much money did Wei Guochang give him? Chief Wang is treating that prodigal's matter as his own. Zhu Laohe, who had a dragon tattoo on his shoulder, couldn't help but ask curiously. Zhao Xiang used his index finger to push up his glasses and smiled. Brother Zhu, this is a long story. Haha, so you don't know. If you want to know, let Chief Shen have a good chat with you. Zhu Laohe looked at Shen Guangming, who had a thick gold necklace around his neck. Old Shen, what does Xiangzi mean? What do I not know? What do you know? Tell me. I'm a good person, but I have a problem. I can't sleep because of my curiosity. Shen Guangming grinned and closed the door of the chess room. He gave everyone a soft Zhonghua cigarette and lit it before saying, Brother Zhu, you don't even know this. I really suspect that you've been in Suang for so many years for nothing, right? Wei Yechen's mother is Chief Wang's mistress. You don't know? How did Wei Guochang become so successful? Do you really think he's Li Jiaqing who started from scratch? He doesn't have that ability. What do you mean? Zhu Laohe was curious and confused. From what you said, Wei Guochang and Chief Wang have a long history. Of course. Shen Guangming was a big mouth. Zhao Xiang pushed his glasses up. He didn't say anything because he was afraid that trouble would come from careless talk. Sometimes, even if there was no one around, he couldn't speak carelessly. Shen Guangming continued. Back then, when Chief Wang just came to Wei Guochang's small county to be the deputy secretary, Wei Guochang even sent his newly married wife to him. Shen Guangming picked up a mahjong tile. You also know that other than this, Chief Wang's other hobby is women. Wei Guochang's wife, Pan Jinping, was a local flower. Chief Wang couldn't bear to part with her. Back then, Wei Guochang's wife had always been with Chief Wang. She only returned to Wei Guochang's side when she was 5 months pregnant. Zhu Laohe was both surprised and excited. Does this mean that Wei Guochang's son is Wang Ruping's son? Brother Zhu, lower your voice. Zhao Xiang smiled and whispered, Be careful, the walls have ears. Zhu Laohe hurriedly lowered his voice. I was wondering why Commissioner Wang was so concerned about his godson. It turns out that there is such a strange thing. Oh my god, old Shen, is this for real? You're not lying to me, are you? This is too much news. Brother Zhu, you already know about this matter. I only told you because of our strong relationship. Don't talk nonsense. If Director Wang really gets angry, we won't have a good time in the future. Shen Guangming became serious now. Zhu Laohe quickly shut his mouth. Yes, I definitely can't say this. Don't worry, brother, I don't have any other good points, but I'm a tight-lipped person. Brother Zhu, CEO Shen, are we still going to play? Zhao Xiang smiled and said, If you still want to play, then I'll call you. If you don't want to play, then let's leave. I'll treat you two to supper. Shen Guangming pushed his cards away and said, I'm not playing anymore. We are using this as an excuse to give money. It's not like we really like it. What's the point of playing? Let's go. I'm not eating supper. Let's go home. My wife and children are waiting for me. Zhu Laohe also got up and said, Xiangzi, you can eat supper by yourself. I still have a little slut waiting for me at home. Hehehe, I don't like supper, I like milk. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The three of them laughed as they packed up the cash they brought. They played cards with Wang Ruping to lose money to him. Many times, it's easier to do things after losing money. The more money they lose, the easier it is to do things. When Su Yin and Shen Guangming returned to Walt's hotel, Ling Jiling saw the missing Type 54 pistol on the floor when she entered her room. She was so scared that she refused to go in. Even when Su Yin picked up the jammed pistol and threw it into his room, Ling Jiling still insisted on going to his room with Su Yin. Although it was a luxurious suite with 2 bedrooms and a living room, with a leather sofa and a 2-meter bed, Su Yin didn't believe that he could control himself living in the same room with a female star whose voice could make men fantasize. Moreover, he felt that Ling Jiling wanted to sleep with him. As the saying goes, it takes 2 hands to clap. If both of them wanted to sleep with him, wouldn't it be troublesome? A single spark could start a prairie fire, let alone such a simple fire. You mean you don't want to stay in that room? Su Yin touched his nose. Ling Jiling had already brought all her personal belongings to his room. It was obvious that she meant this. Ling Jiling nodded like a frightened bird. Of course I don't dare to go back. They all know that I'm in that room. There's no one beside me. What if? As long as you don't open the door, there's no what if. Su Yin tried his best to persuade her. Haven't you heard of the saying, money makes the world go round? If they use money to bribe the cleaning lady, then they can get all the room cards. What if they really take revenge when I'm asleep? Ling Jiling would never let herself take this risk. If it wasn't for the fact that Su Yin didn't mention leaving, she wouldn't continue to stay in this hotel even if she was beaten to death. Su Yin thought that it wasn't impossible. Even if they wanted to take revenge, shouldn't they take revenge on him? Forget it. If she wants to stay here, then so be it. Then, if that's the case, I'll sleep in Brother Dong's room. You stay here. No. I don't want to stay in any room in this hotel alone. When Ling Jiling heard that Su Yin was going to leave, she panicked on the spot. She quickly grabbed Su Yin's wrist and pulled Su Yin's arm into her arms. 2 gentle and huge elasticity wrapped around Su Yin's arm tightly. Su Yin instantly gave up the idea of going downstairs to find Wu Yuandong. Stupid. Staying here to play kissing with Sister Ling Jiling was 1,000 times better than sniffing second-hand smoke with Wu Yuandong. After a day of torment, Su Yin finally had to stay in the same room with this woman whose voice made his heart itch. Could it be that something was really going to happen? Su Yin's Adam's apple moved, and he swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He was a little stunned and really didn't know how to face this pie that suddenly fell from the sky. Sometimes it wasn't bad to make a different choice in life. For example, when you were the young master of an entertainment company and an A-list actress who was secretly popular in the country, you just had to say something and someone would do it for you flawlessly, compared to going to Swang alone and becoming an enemy of a local bully who had just turned around. That kind of life was simply like a god's. Young master, I'll sleep on the sofa. Ling Jiling's face was also flushed. Obviously, she still had the intention to take the initiative to offer herself. Otherwise, her face wouldn't be so red when she said this. Su Yin was a pure man who knew how to take care of women. He laughed dryly. I can't let Sister Ling Jiling sleep on the sofa. I'll sleep on the sofa. You can sleep on the bed. Ling Jiling was grateful. The more this man was like this, the more attractive he was to her. Even if Su Yin wasn't the godson of Sky Entertainment's founder, Zhang Taisui, he was still a man with enough charm to attract her. When she thought of this, Ling Jiling couldn't help but question herself. She was actually moved. It should be known that as an actress, she had gone through so many years of hardship and experienced so many changes. She didn't seem to really be moved by anything or anyone. However, at this moment, the layer of her heart that was wrapped in a layer of mask actually loosened, and that layer of mask quietly slipped off. Then I'll go take a shower first. Ling Jiling said as she turned her head and quickly walked to the bathroom. The blush on her face was quickly spreading through her body at a speed that she couldn't control at all. Su Yun felt that his nose was quite hot. F***ck. Take a shower. Although Sister Ling Jiling didn't invite him to take a shower together with her, he still felt that his blood was boiling all over. Just a door away, the goddess of the masses was taking a shower. How could this not be considered an exciting thing? Forget it, forget it. If he continued to think about it, he really would not be able to control himself. Su Yun tried his best to control himself from letting his imagination run wild. He aimlessly switched channels on the TV. Even the military programs could not really make him pay attention. The sound of water splashing through the wall had already made his heart fly away. About an hour later, Ling Jiling walked out of the bathroom after drying her hair. She wasn't wearing a bathrobe like Su Yun had imagined. Instead, she was wearing a clean set of new clothes. She didn't seem to be overly seductive at all. Su Yun's heart was very conflicted. Should he be happy or should he be disappointed? It was the same logic as eating grapes. If you didn't eat them, you would think that they were delicious. If you really ate them, you would feel that they were quite sour. The unique smell of a woman after taking a shower made Su Yun not know what to say. In the end, he could only get up and avoid the question. I'm going to take a shower too. Perhaps only by being separated from Ling Jiling by a wall or a door would Su Yun feel that his heart didn't have so many wild thoughts. In this era where moral integrity was everywhere, the word purity wasn't so easy to have. It was just that it didn't seem to be interesting to have something like purity, right? With all kinds of contradictions in his heart, Su Yun didn't dare to use hot water. Only cold water could stimulate a person to be more awake, and hot water would only make a person's mind more blurred. If he continued to be blurred, Su Yun really didn't dare to believe that he would have the strength to control himself. Previously, he was able to resist and not have any special relationship with Wan Qingshuang, Qin Wan, or even Chou Yun and Tang Jiu because he didn't want to owe a woman an emotional debt. But facing Ling Jiling, he was more or less relaxed. After all, to a certain extent, women in the entertainment industry always made people feel that they could be let down. Chapter 242. On the same night, some people were in a dilemma as to whether they should treat the women outside the bathroom with respect, while others were in a dilemma as to whether they should treat all women with respect in the future. After Wei Yechen was sent to the hospital for a checkup, the hospital still didn't give them any results. After knowing the whole story, Wei Guochang really wanted to slap him. This was all because of his sperm, but because Wang Ruping was beside him, he had been holding it in. It wasn't that he didn't know that Wei Yechen wasn't his biological son, but he didn't dare to say it because Wang Ruping didn't want him to. Since Wang Ruping wanted him to raise this bastard, he had to raise him. It was his fault for leaving this bastard behind. He couldn't blame anyone else. Son, are you still in pain? Don't worry, Mom is here. Mom will definitely seek justice for you. Pan Jinping had doted on her son for more than 20 years, and it had long become a habit. No matter how big of a trouble he got into, she knew that these two dads would help him settle it. Say something. What should we do about our son? Wang Ruping took a deep breath. The results aren't out yet, maybe there's still hope. There were some words that Wei Guochang couldn't say out loud. He had seen the film just now. Wei Yechen's private part had already turned into a pile of mush. If it wasn't for the anesthetic, he would probably still be wailing like a ghost and howling like a wolf. The ethical relationships in this family were really messed up. Normal people wouldn't be able to understand the mentality of any of them in this room. Although Wei Yechen's surname was Wei, even he himself knew that he was Wang Ruping's son. Why did he look for Wang Ruping the moment something happened? From this point alone, it could be seen that he preferred this godfather who didn't have any status, but was his biological father. He didn't like this nominal father who was absolutely a coward in front of his godfather. Although his biological father was rich, if it wasn't for his godfather's protection, he would probably be an ordinary pauper. Pan Jinping had already seen through everything. More than 20 years ago, her man Wei Guochang had sent her to Wang Ruping because of a project. Furthermore, she had served Wang Ruping for half a year. Since then, she no longer trusted any man. In her eyes, there was only her son. As for the men, it was their duty to provide them with a good life. Wang Ruping had never gotten married. It wasn't that he didn't want to get married, but more than 20 years ago, he had a car accident that broke his penis. This was the reason why he sent back the beautiful woman that Wei Guochang had sent to him. One had to know that Pan Jinping's appearance, figure, and skills back then were all great bewitching women who could make him indulge in pleasure every night. When Wei Yechen found out that his wife was pregnant with Wang Ruping's child, he did consider aborting it. However, once the baby was aborted, he would completely lose this protective umbrella. Because Wang Ruping had lost the function of a man after the car accident, it was useless to rely on a woman to rely on him. However, the child in Pan Jinping's stomach could be used. Back then, when Wang Ruping found out that Pan Jinping was pregnant with his child, the ecstasy he felt was indescribable. However, for the sake of his career and future, he naturally didn't dare to acknowledge the child. Thus, he adopted a godson. This abnormal family relationship existed silently for more than 20 years. There was no wall in the world that didn't have a crack. Thus, this matter was more or less spread by some people. However, it was definitely not the kind that spread widely. There weren't many people who knew about it either. As for how they found out, only the heavens knew. Suddenly, a doctor in a white coat walked in. With a serious expression, he said to the three people in the room, "Who is Wei Yechen's father? I have something to say." "Me." Wang Ruping and Wei Guochang said in unison. However, Wei Guochang immediately retreated. He knew that he would forever be inferior in front of Wang Ruping. He could achieve what he had today because of Wang Ruping. Furthermore, 51% of his company's shares were under Wang Ruping's name. Speak. Veins popped out on Wang Ruping's temples. He could see that the situation was not good from the doctor's expression. The doctor said, "There is no way to save him. However, there is a very advanced technology. We can help you contact a hospital in America. If his direct blood relatives are willing to donate their organs, they can be transplanted. You are his father, so you are his direct blood relatives. We need to ask for your opinion. If you agree, he can still be saved. If you don't agree, then we can only perform the removal surgery immediately." When Wang Ruping heard this, his mind went blank. The current medical technology had reached a level that made people gasp in amazement. However, to him, this was a bolt from the blue, because he had already undergone the removal surgery 20 years ago. "Doctor, is it possible to use another donor's organs?" Wang Ruping was stunned for a while before he spoke. "This organ must be related by blood. Otherwise, it won't survive. To put it simply, even if it's connected, it can't be used. It's just a decoration." The doctor was afraid that Wei Guochang wouldn't understand, so he explained it very simply. The doctor's words completely sentenced Wei Yechen to castration. Wei Guochang and Pan Jinping were at the side and heard everything. Their minds were buzzing. It seemed that there was no way to save this situation. You see, after all, if you want to perform the removal surgery, you have to hurry up, the doctor said again. Wang Ruping's Adam's apple moved. He swallowed a mouthful of saliva that made his chest feel stuffy. He squeezed out 2 words through his teeth. "Cut it." Wei Yechen almost went crazy when he heard that it was going to be removed. If it was removed, he would become a eunuch. What did it mean to be a eunuch? He was neither male nor female. He was worse than a freaking transvestite. At least a transvestite could preserve his organs. However, he would become a eunuch with incomplete organs like Wang Ruping. "I'm not going to cut it. If it's going to be cut, then what's the point of living? Godfather, save me. You have to save me. Mom." Wei Yechen's eyes were filled with panic. However, no matter what he said, he still had to do what had to be done. When Wei Yechen was pushed into the operating room, Wang Ruping punched the wall of the hospital. This was a disastrous blow to him. Back then, he thought that he wouldn't have any descendants after the surgery. With Wei Yechen, he knew that his bloodline could continue. Now that Wei Yechen was at the age to get married and have children, he was already thinking that he could become a grandfather in a few years. However, he didn't expect to receive such disastrous news. His son was like him, becoming a eunuch at the prime of his life. He had become the most pitiful man in the world. This was all because of that damned female celebrity's bodyguard. He, Wang Ruping, swore that if he didn't take revenge, he wasn't human. He didn't believe that there was a grudge that he couldn't take revenge in Suang. He had to crush that person to ease the hatred in his heart. Seeing the cold glint in Wang Ruping's eyes, Wei Guochang knew that he wouldn't let that person go. He then looked at Pan Jinping, who was like a walking corpse. He laughed bitterly in his heart. Everything that happened now was caused by his inhumane decision back then. It looked like this was God's punishment for them. Serves them right. Serves them right. Wang Ruping finally calmed himself down. He took out his phone from his pocket and dialed a few numbers. Wei Guochang could tell that some of the calls were to the police, and some were to the leader of the underground forces. It seemed like Wang Ruping was really angry. He was going to settle this matter with Wei Yechen today. Chief Wang, I'm afraid this matter isn't that simple. The other party. Wei Guochang wanted to remind him. What about the other party? Wang Ruping glared at Wei Guochang. Even if the other party is a ghost, I'll let him know that I'm the king of hell. Touch my son and destroy my roots? I don't believe that I can't kill him. Wei Guochang was still worried. But the other party is a well-known person in society. If something happens here and it's found out, I'm afraid. What are you afraid of? Do I need you? You just need to figure out the business for me. Guochang, let me ask you. Do you feel sorry for Xiaochen? Wang Ruping glared at Wei Guochang. Why do I feel like you're fine? It looks like you're treated differently because you're not your biological son. Chief Wang, that's definitely not what I meant. Wei Guochang's heart tightened. Wang Ruping was angry now. He was like a mad dog. He didn't want to be bitten by him. Wang Ruping stared at Wei Guochang with his bulging eyes. He didn't leave Wei Guochang for a long time. He had already made all the necessary arrangements. He didn't believe that bastard could escape from his grasp. So what if he was a celebrity? Daring to touch his son, he didn't care if you were a celebrity or an unknown star. What were celebrities in his eyes? The only thing Wang Ruping was afraid of in his life was power. If you had more power than him, he would be respectful to you. But if you didn't have power, even if your money was enough to buy an island, he could use his power to play you to death. For example, he was a dignified police officer. He only needed to make a phone call to arrange for people to go to the Waltz Hotel and bring them out for him. This wasn't illegal. He completely had a reason to arrest them. He only needed to say that he suspected Ling Jiling was using her identity as a female celebrity to illegally sell her body, and he could easily bring them out of the hotel. After he really brought them out, he didn't need to hand them over to the judicial department. He had his private court. If he wanted to lynch them, who would dare to say no? Whoever dared to say no, he would remove them tomorrow. This was the power of power. Chapter 243. Su Yin used the cold water to suppress his fluttering heart. His young and vigorous little flame was also controlled by him. Ever since he entered the bathroom, Su Yin didn't dare to use even half a drop of hot water. As the saying went, when one is full and warm, one will be tempted. Therefore, Su Yin could only be more ruthless to himself. After washing up, he obediently put on his clothes. Ling Jiling didn't even take off her clothes, so he had to treat her with respect. Although it wasn't a bad thing for a single man and a single woman to have an accident, and he really didn't intend to restrain himself, if she really felt that it was better not to have an accident, then he could only endure it. Before Su Yin sat on the sofa, Ling Jiling suddenly said, "Crown Prince, the bed is so big. Why don't you not sleep on the sofa? It's definitely spacious here." Nonsense. Of course, Su Yin didn't say that out loud. The 2-meter bed was definitely spacious enough for 2 people. If you wanted to, you could even sleep on a 1-2-meter bed. If lying flat wasn't enough, you could make a human pyramid. We're sleeping on the same bed? Isn't that inappropriate? Su Yunjin's heart was itching. Although his heart was already pouncing on the bed and rolling around with his goddess, his mouth was still stubborn. "If this gets out, I don't care, but your reputation," Ling Jiling shrugged. "There's only the 2 of us in this room. I don't believe that you'll tell anyone that we're sleeping in the same room. You're not that bored. Moreover, we're unmarried. Even if we sleep on the same bed, there's no betrayal. Most importantly, I believe that you're not the kind of person who takes advantage of others. You're not the kind of person who's casual. That's why I dare to say this. Su-yin laughed bitterly. You really misunderstood me. Who said that I'm not the kind of person who takes advantage of others? I'm not human when I'm casual. Before Su-yin could get on the bed, the door creaked open. Su-yin immediately jumped to the door, ready to give this uninvited guest a show of strength. Ling Jiling, who was lying on the bed, had a look of panic on her face. Could it be that those people had found their way here so quickly? However, when several uniformed police officers rushed into the room, Su-yin immediately retracted his fist that was ready to strike. He looked at these people in a daze. From the workmanship and details of their clothes, he could tell that they were definitely not fake goods. We are from the Suang Central District Police Station. Someone has reported that you have an illegal relationship between a man and a woman. We hope that you can cooperate with us to go to the station. The policeman who spoke was a man in his mid-30s. A second-level lieutenant was obviously not a small official. His rank obviously made Su-yin feel that something was wrong. If they really wanted to crack down on prostitution, they probably didn't need a police officer with the rank of lieutenant commander, right? Moreover, there were 10 people here, and they could easily break into those bathing centers or beauty centers. Why did they come to the hotel just to catch the two of them? Wasn't he thinking too highly of them? Something was wrong. Su-yin suddenly realized that there was trouble. The naive and ignorant Ling Jiling heaved a sigh of relief. She quickly ran down from the bed and explained to the 10 policemen at the door. I think you must have misunderstood, right? Police comrade, I'm Ling Jiling. I think you all know me. I came to Suang this time to shoot an advertisement. Our relationship is that of colleagues and partners. We definitely don't have the kind of relationship you're talking about. I think this report must be a misunderstanding. Otherwise, it must be a prank. As a celebrity, this kind of explanation was often quite effective. If it was really a prank, these policemen would definitely not have such a calm expression. The leader still insisted. Miss Ling, I know you're a celebrity, but in the area under our jurisdiction, if a celebrity participates in an illegal relationship between a man and a woman, the punishment will be even more severe. Ling Jiling's mind buzzed. How could this person be so rigid? How could he be so sure that they were in an illegal relationship? Su-yin sneered. It seemed that things weren't that simple. The purpose of these policemen was very simple. They just wanted to catch the two of them. They didn't care about their relationship at all. Even if there were 2 people in the room, they would still find other reasons. At this moment, a young policeman rushed into the room and picked up the Type 54 pistol that Sun Cheng and the others had left behind on the table. He said sternly, Captain, they even illegally hid and carried guns. Damn, if I knew this would happen, I would have thrown it away from the beginning. Su-yin suddenly felt like yellow mud had fallen into his pants. This was simply impossible to explain. This isn't ours. Ling Jiling saw this and became anxious. She was a person of status. If it was reported that she had an illegal relationship with a man in a hotel in the middle of the night and secretly carried a gun, even if it was all a misunderstanding, Sky Entertainment would still consider the impact and put her on ice. Then all her years of hard work would be completely over. The leader at the door sneered. It seems that the relationship between the two of you isn't as simple as a man and a woman having an illegal relationship. Miss Ling, if you have anything to say, I hope you can explain it to the police station. Take her away. After saying this, the other side had already taken out handcuffs. Ling Jiling was instantly at a loss. What should she do? Handcuffs? Isn't this too exaggerated? The gun is mine. It has nothing to do with her. If you want handcuffs, just handcuff me. You should at least consider Miss Ling's status. Su-yin said lightly. We can go back to the police station and tell you, but I hope that Miss Ling can find some clothes to cover herself before we get to the police car. Because if it turns out to be a misunderstanding, it will have a very bad impact on her. Okay. Seeing that the two of them were so cooperative, the leader didn't say anything else. Ling Jiling looked at Su-yin blankly. We really don't have anything. Do we still have to go? Is there something that can't be explained here? Su Yun frowned. I'm afraid they won't give us a chance to explain here. If we're innocent, then we'll explain everything when we get there. If we don't go with them now, then we'll be resisting law enforcement. They have the right to enforce the law, so we should cooperate. At this time, Su Yun's mind was more rational and clear. Although he knew that he could easily take care of these 10 police officers, if that was the case, they would have to leave Swang overnight. Although everything could be taken care of by Zwamayan once they got back to Ji-Bay, the commercial would definitely not be shot. Su Yun didn't care if the commercial was shot or not. What he cared about was the underwear after the commercial was shot. The most important thing was that he hadn't found Cho Yun's whereabouts yet, so he could only do this now. Okay, I'll listen to you. Ling Jiling saw that Su Yun was so calm, so she also relaxed a little. Very quickly, she found a piece of clothing and put it on her head so that outsiders wouldn't see. Just like that, the two of them were taken to the police car parked at the entrance downstairs. Wu Yuandong, who had been waiting at the entrance to watch the arrest of the criminal, was dumbfounded. Ling Jiling covered her face, but Su Yun didn't. Moreover, Su Yun's hands were tied behind his back. When Su Yun went out, he also saw Wu Yuandong. At that time, Wu Yuandong's first reaction was to come forward and stop him. After all, he wasn't just a driver. With an annual salary of 500,000 yuan, he was definitely a qualified part-time bodyguard. However, Su Yun stopped him with a look. Wu Yuandong clearly saw Su Yun's handcuffed hands sign behind his back in a tactical sign language that only Huaxia's special forces understood. Request for backup. Although Wu Yuandong didn't insist on staying in the special forces, and didn't know about the existence of a mysterious force like the Dragon Brigade, he was still someone who had received special training from the special forces. Therefore, he still knew this universal sign language. He understood what Su Yun meant. Su Yun wanted him to contact Zwamayan as soon as possible to get in touch with her. These police officers were obviously here to deal with the person, not the person. The quick-witted Wu Yuandong immediately sorted out his thoughts. It was very likely that they had offended someone, and that person was very likely the young man in the flowery shirt at the highway rest area. Seeing that Su Yun and Ling Jiling were taken into one of the police cars and quickly left the scene, Wu Yuandong didn't care if he would disturb President Zhu's rest. He immediately called Zwamayan's number. The 3 police cars went their separate ways at the first intersection. The other 2 cars turned left, but the large van Su Yun and the others were in continued to go straight ahead. What, they still have a mission? Su Yun smiled slightly and raised his head to ask. He formed a stark contrast with Ling Jiling. Ling Jiling was so nervous that she couldn't say a word. But Su Yun was still smiling so brightly. The second-level lieutenant sitting in the front passenger seat turned around and glared at Su Yun. Why do you have so much nonsense to say? Let's see if you can still smile when we get there. Where? Su Yun was slightly stunned. Sir, from what you're saying, why does it feel like we're not going to the police station, but to hell? Hee, could it be that the police station in Swang is that scary? Or are there Oxhead and Horseface inside? Kid, you really have a lot of nonsense to say. You better not bother me, or else I can quiet you down at any time. As soon as the officer sitting in the front passenger seat opened his mouth, a young policeman in the back with Su Yun and Ling Jiling took out a police stun baton. Once the stun baton was pressed, it instantly emitted a blinding blue light and made a terrifying crackling sound. Ling Jiling had never experienced this kind of situation before. She was so scared that she curled up beside Su Yun, afraid that the scary thing would touch her body. Su Yun didn't dare to underestimate the power of the police stun baton. 100,000 volts could almost instantly make you lose consciousness, and the high current could easily burn a person's clothes and skin. Fine, I'll shut up. Let's talk nicely. Don't use such a scary thing. Su Yun purposely showed weakness and laughed. I know I'm wrong. The young policeman holding the stun baton snorted and muttered, coward. Chapter 244. The police car made many turns along the way. Even Ling Jiling felt that something was wrong. Who would have a police station in such a desolate place? The police car had been driving south for more than 20 minutes. It was obvious that they were not going to the police station. Since Ling Jiling felt that something was wrong, Su Yin naturally realized that this was not the route to the police station. However, this was also good. If they really went to the police station, then he really wouldn't cause any trouble. However, if they really went to a desolate place, then they really couldn't blame him for turning hostile. Prince, they won't take us directly to the detention center, right? Ling Jiling lowered her voice and whispered into Su Yun's ear. Otherwise, where are we going? Su Yun shook his head. How could they be sent directly to the detention center, without even taking a statement? However, he really didn't know where they were going. He really couldn't think of what kind of trick the police wanted to play with him. Finally, after the police car drove into a grassland in the wilderness, more than 10 car headlights suddenly lit up in front of them. The police car screeched and stepped on the brakes, stopping in the light of the car headlights. Bring them down. The lieutenant sitting in the front passenger seat ordered. Then, he took the lead and got out of the car. He walked forward to the few figures in front of him whose expressions couldn't be seen clearly. Su Yin and Ling Jiling were also urged to get out of the car by the young police officer holding the stun baton. The two of them had just gotten out of the car when the lieutenant connected with the few people over there and explained things. Then he hurriedly returned to the car and directly got in the car and closed the door. The police car backed away with a buzz and quickly left the desolate wilderness. Su Yin also understood that this was a big shot. To be able to use the police to kidnap them was definitely not something an ordinary person could do. He didn't expect Swang to be so deep. They had encountered so many things on their first night here. What's going on? Ling Jiling trembled as she leaned against Su Yun. Su Yun's hands were still cuffed behind his back. She could already see dozens of figures under the glaring light. As a girl, of course she would be scared. She was scared to death. It was because she was a celebrity, and also because she was big enough and charming enough. Even Sister Jiaoling, who had debuted 10 years earlier than her, had been harmed by the underground forces in Hong Kong. How could she not be afraid? Some powerful people seemed to like female celebrities like them. Su Yun now understood that this matter must have something to do with Wei Yechen. It seemed that the background that kid was talking about was really strong. For a moment, no one spoke. The wilderness was so quiet that even the footsteps of mice could be heard. Gusts of chilly wind blew, causing Ling Jiling to have the thought of running away. But no matter how hard she tried, her feet seemed to be nailed to the ground. She couldn't move at all. If it wasn't for Su Yun standing beside her, perhaps her legs would have been so weak that she couldn't even stand. It was obvious that the courage brought by the man beside her was immediate. At the very least, she was still standing. Under the glaring light of the car's headlights, a few burly men began to dig holes in the wasteland with large shovels. The flying sand drew an ugly arc under the light. Su Yun's lips curled into a sinister smile. It seemed that the other party was serious about playing with him. A bald black man swung his thick arms as he walked step by step towards Su Yun and Ling Jiling. Ling Jiling trembled in fear and wanted to retreat, but the man standing beside her didn't move at all. Finally, the bald black man stood in front of the two. The black man had a scar on his face that went past his left eye and nose. It made him look especially savage. Even though he was smiling, he didn't look like a good person at all. Kid, you're really ruthless. Humph, you just didn't think that retribution would come so quickly, right? Su Yun's face was as calm as a lake. He smiled faintly. You know that I'm ruthless and still want revenge? Aren't you afraid that you'll go for wool and come home shorn? The black-faced man stopped smiling. You're quite stubborn. If you have the strength, you can bargain with the king of hell later. No one here has the time to talk nonsense with you. This hole was dug for you. Before it's finished, hurry up and tell the little slut next to you if you have any last words. Don't blame me for not reminding you. Su Yun glanced at the deep hole that had been dug so quickly that it was enough to bury an adult. He sneered. Then why don't you go down and help me warm the hole? How dare you? The black-faced man scolded angrily. Su Yun didn't wait for him to yell out the word egg. He had already stood up and slapped the black-faced man's face as fast as lightning. The man's body that weighed 200 pounds was sent flying by Su Yun's kick. He was like a remote-controlled plane that suddenly ran out of battery. He fell into the deep hole that was just dug by a few black-clothed youths. He didn't make a single sound during the entire process. This clean kick was indeed terrifying. Everyone present glared at him. Wang Ruping's killing intent grew stronger. Zhu Laohe, are your people so useless? Zhu Laohe had just returned home from the mahjong hall when he was called out by Wang Ruping. He, the Manchurian tiger, was able to occupy a place in Suang not only because of his and his brother's strength, but also because of Wang Ruping's huge protective umbrella. The head of the judicial department brought him too much convenience. That was why Zhu Laohe was able to grow so quickly in such a short period of time. Previously, when the entire underworld of Suang was overturned, it was also because of Wang Ruping that he managed to escape. Director Wang, I'll do it myself. Zhu Laohe sneered and clenched his fists. He walked towards Su Yin step by step. His face was cold. He really wanted to see which bastard dared to provoke the biggest protection in Su Hong's underground. He really didn't want to live anymore. Seeing that their big brother was going to do it himself, more than 30 bare-armed tattooed men all followed behind Zhu Laohe and walked toward Su Yin. Ling Jiling grabbed Su Yun's hand tightly. She really didn't know what terrible thing would happen in the next second. But this group of people made her feel an indescribable chill from the bottom of her heart. Su Yun's face was full of smiles as if he had seen an old acquaintance. When Zhu Laohe walked in front of Su Yin, he couldn't help but tremble all over. He almost knelt down directly. Even if you beat him to death, Zhu Laohe couldn't believe that the person in front of him was actually the fierce person who almost took his life in the Daxing and mountain range. The group of men behind Zhu Laohe were just about to attack, when they suddenly found their boss's trembling legs. It was like a deer that saw a wild boar king in the mountains. Their minds were only filled with thoughts of running away. Oh, I was wondering who it was. So it's an old acquaintance. Su Yin saw Zhu Laohe when he got out of the car. Because Zhu Laohe had severe sinusitis, he always groaned and his voice was very special. It was like a wild boar's cry. Zhu Laohe was once a famous wildlife trafficker in the Daxing and mountain range. Relying on his innate strength and skills that were comparable to mortals, he was a big tyrant in the vast forest. Many times the forest police came to arrest him, but they came empty-handed. Later on, they had no choice but to send out the armed police. Hundreds of people in the vast forest pursued him for more than a month, but in the end, they didn't even catch a hair of his. Zhu Laohe was such an amazing person. He really had the ability to hide. Even if they met, he had the ability to escape. His skills and strength were at least a first or second-rate expert. Originally, the government did give up on chasing Zhu Laohe. But this guy went from bad to worse and hunted moose, brown bear, purple marten, roe deer, fox, dragon, and other rare birds. Therefore, the Dragon Fury team that was supposed to have a 3-day holiday was temporarily arranged to go to the Daxing and mountain range. Wang Yi called it a vacation. When Su Yun and the others found out that it was because of a wildlife trafficker who ruined their vacation, the angry Dragon Fury team members only took 2.5 days to find Zhu Laohe's den in the Daxing and mountain range that was more than 1,200 kilometers long. Zhu Laohe had hundreds of hunters under him at that time, but they still couldn't compete with Su Yun's Dragon Fury team. Because someone opened fire, Dragon's Fury people killed one of them on the spot. The leader of the wildlife trafficker, Zhu Laohe, who shocked the whole country, was caught by Su Yun. Because Zhu Laohe resisted, he was beaten half to death by Su Yun on the spot. If it weren't for Azure Dragon and the others stopping him, Zhu Laohe would have been killed by Su Yun. Of the 206 bones in Zhu Laohe's body, nearly 100 of them were broken by Su Yun. Before Zhu Laohe was sentenced, he had been bedridden in the hospital for more than half a year. Therefore, even if Su Yun turned into ashes, he would still recognize him. In his eyes, Su Yun was a devil who was worse than King Yama. Later, because Zhu Laohe took the initiative to confess a lot of his wildlife trafficker network, and his performance in prison was very good, he was released after 5 years. After he was released, Zhu Laohe wanted to go back to his old business. But as soon as he arrived at the Daxing and mountain range, his legs went soft. He really didn't want to think of Su Yun. So he brought those who were still willing to follow him all the way south. Half a year ago, he met Wang Ruping in Suang and settled down. Zhu Laohe never thought that just as he settled down in Suang, he would meet this grandfather in front of him again. Grandpa Yan. I was wrong. If I knew it was you, even if you lent me 100 guts, I wouldn't dare to come. Zhu Laohe didn't know whether to laugh or cry. With a twisted expression, he was angry, afraid, and sullen. Even if he completely lost face today, he definitely didn't want to experience the feeling of having half of his bones broken again. Su Yun smiled indifferently. It's okay, it's okay. It's not wrong to not know. But since you've been released, why haven't you turned over a new leaf? You don't sell wildlife anymore, and you're doing evil things like bullying people? Grandpa. I didn't. You've wronged me. Zhu Laohe, a man who was nearly 2 meters tall, was no different from a grandson in front of Su Yun. Chapter 245. Su Yun looked at Zhu Laohe and chuckled. Zhu Laohe's legs trembled. He hurriedly took out a box of soft Chunghwa cigarettes from his pocket and handed it to Su Yun while trembling. He cautiously asked, Grandpa Yan, do you smoke? Zhu Laohe didn't know what Su Yun's name was. He only knew that those who wore the same combat uniform as Su Yun and were well-equipped called him boss or captain. Later on, there was an older person who called him Yan Long. So Zhu Laohe called him Grandpa Yan. Su Yun pushed away Zhu Laohe's hand and looked at Wang Ruping, who was not far away. Who is that person? At this time, Wang Ruping was already shocked. He always felt that Zhu Laohe was ruthless, so he was willing to pull him in front of him when doing this kind of thing. Wang Ruping knew Zhu Laohe's identity and background. A person who dared to fight with wild boars, black bears and tigers in the forest must be ruthless enough. Otherwise, he would have been eaten by those animals. Because Zhu Laohe had an innate ruthlessness, and because of the aura left behind from years of killing animals, even Wang Ruping's lion-like Tibetan Mastiff did not dare to make a threatening whimper in front of Zhu Laohe. But now, Zhu Laohe lowered his posture in front of a young man. He actually bowed and wanted to give him a cigarette? What the hell is going on? Wang Ruping's mind was in a mess. For the first time, he found that he can't control the situation. Zhu Laohe looked back at Wang Ruping with a bitter expression on his face. When he looked at Su Yun, his expression became even more bitter. He didn't dare to offend either of them. One of them could make him unable to stay in Suang, while the other one could beat him to the point that even his own mother couldn't recognize him. Grandpa Yan, why are you fighting with Chief Wang? Is there a misunderstanding? Zhu Laohe was at a loss. I'm asking you who he is. Su Yun didn't have the patience to listen to Zhu Laohe's story. He raised his foot and kicked Zhu Laohe's butt. Zhu Laohe wanted to pull a long face but didn't dare to. Zhu Laohe gave him a thumbs up and whispered to Su Yun, Master Yan, Commissioner Wang Ruping, is from the Judicial Department of Suang. So I think that if there is any misunderstanding, let's sit down and talk about it. Oh, so he's a fatuous official who misuses his power. No wonder he can mobilize the police with just a few words. To be able to become the head of Suhong's judicial department, he should at least be a first-class police officer, right? To actually collude with you underground people here, hee how laughable. Su Yun sneered. The person he hated the most in his life was a high-ranking police officer. Because that bastard betrayed them, it led to the death of the previous Yin Long. He didn't expect Su Yun to meet such a bastard here. Grandpa Yin, don't say that. In this city, he's a great Buddha that we have to worship. I advise you to take a step back and don't go against him. I'll help you put in a good word. Zhu Laohe was a rough man, but the words, I'm thinking for you, were written all over his face. Of course, Su Yun didn't appreciate it. He suddenly hooked Zhu Laohe's leg. Zhu Laohe couldn't defend himself and was kicked to the ground by Su Yun. Su Yun suddenly grabbed Zhu Laohe's face that was on the ground and turned him in the opposite direction. Zhu Laohe's spine cracked, and he fell flat on his back. Su Yun's movements were clean and nimble, without the slightest bit of sloppiness. Such a smooth movement instantly shocked everyone present, including Wang Ruping. Zhu Laohe's underlings already knew that the other party wasn't someone to be trifled with when Boss Zhu bowed to Su Yun. Seeing that the other party could kill Boss Zhu in a second, they were even more frightened and trembling. Zhu Laohe was thrown to the ground, But he couldn't get angry. He didn't dare. Even if he was beaten to death, he wouldn't dare to stare at Su Yun. Moreover, he was very clear that Su Yun was merciful just now. If Su Yun's foot was a second later, his entire spine would have been broken. Even if he didn't die, he would basically be a complete cripple. A few years ago, when Zhu Laohe was caught in the Daxing and mountain range, he knew that he wasn't Su Yun's opponent. Now that Su Yun showed him such a move, it was enough to let him know that the gap between their strength was even bigger. Grandpa Yan, thank you for your mercy. I, Zhu Laohe, wouldn't dare to go against you even if you beat me to death. I beg you to be merciful and let this little brother go? After Zhu Laohe got up, he couldn't wait to kowtow to Su Yun. The whole scene was silent. Ling Zhiling's admiration for Su Yun was indescribable. Zhu Laohe, who looked like a fierce person, was like a mouse in front of a cat. Su Yun pointed to Wang Ruping and said to Zhu Laohe, "Go and tell him to kneel in front of me and kowtow 3 times. Then I won't lower myself to his level." Grandpa Yan, this isn't good, right? Chief Wang's godson was killed by you. This. Zhu Laohe knew that he had fallen this time. Today he had to run in order to save his life. As for whether Wang Ruping would blame him or not, he didn't care. At most, he wouldn't stay in this place. If he couldn't provoke him, he could just hide. "I told you to go. Don't talk so much nonsense." Su Yun frowned and stared at Zhu Laohe until he was scared witless. Zhu Laohe was afraid of Su Yun's prestige and walked to Wang Ruping's side. After all, Wang Ruping was a person who had seen the wind and waves. Even the last big figure in Suang had connections with him. Of course, he wouldn't be afraid of Su Yun just because of Zhu Laohe's face. He didn't believe that anyone would dare to do anything to him in Suang. "Chief Wang, this person can't be provoked." Zhu Laohe spoke. Wang Ruping sneered and said loudly, "Can't be provoked? In Suang, there's no one that I, Wang Ruping, can't provoke." He wanted to let the person opposite him hear and know who he was. Su Yun snorted in disdain. "Yo, what big words. You're just a police officer and you dare to say such things. Where do you want the leaders of Suhong's high officials to put their faces?" Wang Ruping's expression changed. This kid actually dared to use the high officials to suppress him. He sneered and continued, "Kid, do you think you're special? If you have the ability, find someone to suppress me." Su Yun was about to speak when his phone rang. It was Zhuo Meiyan. It seemed that she had been informed by Wu Yuandong. Su Yun picked up the phone and smiled. "Everything is fine here. Don't worry." "Of course I'm not worried that the director of the Justice Bureau will do anything to you," Zhuo Meiyan said calmly. "I just hope that you don't make this a big deal. It'll be hard to stop when the time comes." "Don't worry. I know what I'm doing here. I won't cause you any trouble before the commercial is finished. If I wanted to make this a big deal, I wouldn't have asked Brother Dong to call you." Su Yun smiled. Zhuo Meiyan was startled. "Brother Dong? Oh, you mean Wu Yuandong? It seems that you two are quite fated. Since you're going to inherit Sky Entertainment, he'll be your personal driver." Su Yun smiled bitterly. "Then forget it. I've already cleared up the connections. Sleep well tonight." "Good night, baby," Zhuo Meiyan said coquettishly. "Kiss. Take it as a thank you. Good night." Su Yun really couldn't bring himself to kiss the phone. He said awkwardly, "I'll thank you when we get back." Zhuo Meiyan said proudly, "Then let's do it for real. Bye-bye." As soon as the call ended, Wang Ruping's cell phone buzzed. Obviously, Wang Ruping was not in the mood to answer the phone in his current state of anger. He was just about to see who was bothering him when his brain buzzed. The words Secretary Zhang were displayed on the phone. Wang Ruping quickly put away his hostile mood and covered the phone while speaking politely in a bureaucratic tone. "Secretary Zhang, it's me. Why are you looking for me? Please tell me. Who told you to abuse your power? Who was the one who ordered the police to arrest people at the Waltz Hotel? And a female celebrity? Wang Ruping, you're too bold. Where are the people you arrested?" The person on the phone didn't seem to have a good temper. His angry voice sounded instantly. Wang Ruping's face changed. He quickly got into the car. His mind was in a mess. He couldn't figure out how Secretary Zhang knew about this matter. He hurriedly explained, Secretary Zheng, the matter is actually. After Wang Ruping got into the car, he explained for a full 10 minutes. He was also scolded by Secretary Zheng for a full 10 minutes. He was just looking down on Su Yun and told him to find someone to suppress him. Now a high-ranking official really called him. What kind of background did that guy have? How could he have such a strong connection? Wang Ruping finally understood what it meant to say that there was always someone better than you. He probably couldn't get his son to die without descendants today, but he wasn't ready to give up. Su Yun smiled disdainfully. If it wasn't for that commercial, if it wasn't for Ling Jiling and Sky Entertainment's reputation, he wouldn't be surnamed Su if he didn't beat that abusing his power into a pulp tonight. Finally, Wang Ruping hung up the phone. He didn't even get out of the car. He just told the driver to drive him away. He lost this time, but he didn't want to admit it. Secretary Zheng had already told him to let him go immediately. If he didn't, he would have to take measures against him. Seeing Wang Ruping's car trying to escape, Su Yun wasn't going to let him go so easily. He kicked a rock and sent it flying into the back of Wang Ruping's Audi A6. With a crack, the glass shattered. Even with the anti-explosion film, it could not withstand Su Yun's kick, which contained his inner strength, and sent the stone flying. The Audi slowed down a little. In the end, it didn't dare to stop. It quickly left this godforsaken place. Su Yun didn't want to give up, but he had to stop. After all, he already had enough trouble in Su Hang. He didn't have the energy to deal with another one. Zhu Laohe saw Wang Ruping run away. He couldn't figure out Master Yan's identity. He smiled and said, "Master Yan, can I treat you to supper?" Su Yun rolled his eyes at him. "Are you qualified? Don't flatter me. Prepare a car and send us back. I won't argue with you about today." Chapter 246. Ling Jiling didn't recover from her shock until they returned to the hotel. Wu Yuandong had been waiting for them at the hotel entrance. When he saw the two of them being escorted back, he couldn't help but sigh at Boss's ingenuity. Everything was settled with just a few simple phone calls. Little did he know that even if Sua Meiyan hadn't done anything, Su Yun wouldn't have suffered a loss today. Instead, it was Wang Ruping who would suffer. Since Sua Meiyan had used her connections, Ling Jiling was certain that she would be able to sleep well tonight. After sitting in the car for an entire day and tormenting until 1 or 2 in the morning, even Su Yun felt tired all over. When he returned to his room, he only had one thought left in his mind: to sleep. Ling Jiling wanted to return to her room, but she was still afraid. In the end, she didn't dare to go back alone. In the end, she stayed in Su Yun's room. After Su Yun fell asleep, she carefully lay down on the right side of Su Yun's bed. Although Su Yun slept soundly, Ling Jiling didn't sleep particularly well. When Su Yun opened his eyes in the morning, Ling Jiling had already asked the restaurant's waiter to send breakfast to the room. Seeing that Su Yun had woken up, she asked softly, "Crown Prince, how did you sleep last night?" "Not bad." Su Yun stretched lazily. He didn't even take off his clothes. He slept until he felt nothing. "Sister Jiling, although Sua Meiyan has already settled yesterday's matter, I still feel a little uneasy. If you're going out today, let Brother Dong come with you. I have some personal matters to attend to, so I won't accompany you." After speaking, Su Yun immediately called Wu Yuandong and asked him to come up. Wu Yuandong, who had woken up early to guard the door, knocked on the door and walked in. "I can go with you," Ling Jiling said somewhat anxiously. Of course, she remembered that Su Yun had told her that he had something to do. However, she really didn't want to leave Su Yun's side. The feeling of being far away from a sense of security made her feel flustered. Su Yun shook his head. "I'm not going there to play. If you go with me, you won't just be a burden. You might even be in danger." When Wu Yuandong heard this, he looked at Su Yun and frowned. "Do you need my help?" Before coming here, Chief Sua had instructed him to do his best to help Su Yun complete whatever he wanted to do. Sua Meiyan knew that Su Yun's strength was far greater than Wu Yuandong's, which was why she said that. "Yes, Brother Dong, there's only one thing you need to do for me, and that's to ensure Sister Jiling's safety," Su Yun said. "This commercial must be filmed smoothly. Otherwise, wouldn't this trip be in vain?" If there's an emergency, contact me immediately. If there's nothing important, I hope you won't disturb me." Wu Yuandong nodded, indicating that he understood. He wouldn't ask Su Yin what he wanted to do, or what he shouldn't ask. Regardless of whether he was a qualified soldier or a qualified bodyguard and driver, he wouldn't ask too much. "I know that your matter must be very important, but I really want to help you." Ling Jiling still insisted. However, Su Yin directly exposed her. "Sister Jiling, I know that you need a sense of security. That's why I asked Brother Dong to protect you 24/7 before I come back. I also told you very clearly that I don't need anyone to interfere with what I want to do. To me, anyone's interference isn't a help, but a hindrance. I hope you can understand." "I'm sorry, Crown Prince." Ling Jiling knew that she seemed to have gone a little overboard. She promptly stopped her somewhat unreasonable request. After all, the other party wasn't her assistant or a member of her team. He was the crown prince of the large corporation behind her. His words were an order to her. When Su Yin saw that the breakfast was so sumptuous, he invited Wu Yuandong to eat with him. Ling Jiling also hurriedly invited him. She knew very well that the person that Su Yin thought highly of right now might become a big shot in the Sky Entertainment Corporation in the future. Building a good relationship with him now wouldn't do her any harm. Wu Yuandong was originally polite, but when he thought about how Su Yin wasn't the kind of person who would pretend to be polite, he didn't hesitate and ate breakfast with them in the room. After breakfast, Su Yin left the hotel alone. Ling Jiling didn't want to be bored in the hotel at all, but in the end, she gave up on going out and decided to stay in the hotel for the day. Obviously, if Su Yin still wanted to go out alone tomorrow, Ling Jiling would still stay in the hotel for the day. She didn't have any plans to go out without Su Yin by her side. Even though she believed in Wu Yuandong's skills and abilities, she couldn't find the same sense of security that Su Yin had with Wu Yuandong. After what happened last night, Ling Jiling felt that as long as she was by Su Yin's side, she wouldn't be afraid even if the sky fell down. The sense of security he gave her was the kind that rose from the heart. It was different from the feeling that other people gave her. Before Su Yin left the Waltz Hotel, he walked around the inside and outside of the hotel. After making sure that the place was safe, he left with peace of mind. Although he had other things to do, he still wouldn't leave the people here alone. After taking a taxi out of the Waltz Hotel, Su Yin went straight to the famous Fat West Lake in Suang. Even though it wasn't Golden Week or the tourist season, the place was still bustling with people coming and going. After admiring the beautiful scenery, Su Yin was ready to get down to business. He went out from the side door of the West Lake and walked less than a mile south to the entrance of the Lakeside Villa district. There were only 8 villas in this prime area, which were built by 8 rich families. One could imagine what kind of people lived here. No wonder Green Ghost would live here after taking over Smong. Looking at this level, Su Yin felt that Chao Nanshan definitely didn't lie to him. Although Su Yin didn't really believe Chao Nanshan, he was sure that Chao Nanshan wasn't lying about this. His suspicion of Chao Nanshan was whether he would collude with Green Ghost. This society was so messy, and it was hard to say who would scheme against who. In particular, Chao Nanshan claimed to be Feng Qiansui's good friend, which made Su Yin even more suspicious. When Su Yin passed by the entrance of the Lakeside Villa district, he glanced at the 8 security guards at the entrance. They were definitely not the kind of security guards that the property company hired for 1,000 or 2,000 yuan a month. Every one of them was definitely different from ordinary security guards. Their bulging temples and sturdy bodies proved that they had obviously reached the level of experts who had just stepped into the door. A villa, but there were 8 third-rate masters guarding the door. Although these third-rate masters were nothing in the world of masters, and were all cannon fodder, they were definitely not to be underestimated in the underground world. No matter where, the person who could use 8 third-rate masters to guard the door was definitely not an ordinary person. Even when Feng Qiansui was in Suang, he probably didn't use 8 third-rate masters to guard the door. Su Yin only stayed at the door for 3 to 5 seconds, and the 8 people at the door all looked over with vigilance. Su Yin couldn't help but frown. At this time, he did suspect that he had been betrayed by Chao Nanshan. Su Yin grinned at the 8 people at the door, and then turned to leave. It wasn't good to stay at the door for long. Then Su Yun circled around the entire lakeside villa district. Although the surrounding fence wasn't very high, the surveillance cameras could be described as densely packed. Even an infiltration expert like Su Yun had to admit that the surveillance in this community did indeed achieve the phrase "no blind spots." Now, as long as Su Yun dared to climb over any fence, he would be surrounded by the security guards in the entire villa district in less than a minute. Thinking of this, Su Yun had to give up the idea of entering. He didn't want Green Ghost to know his whereabouts so early. Just when Su Yun gave up the idea of infiltrating, and was about to leave this place, a familiar black Audi appeared in his field of vision. This black Audi actually drove to the entrance of the Lakeside Villa district. After the 8 people at the door saw it, they directly opened the door and let it in. Although it was dark last night, he clearly remembered Wang Ruping's license plate number. Obviously, the rear window of the car that just passed by was new, and the license plate number was the one that Su Yun remembered last night. Wang Ruping was actually related to Green Ghost. Su Yun's temple couldn't help but collapse. He really should have killed that bastard yesterday. Although Su Yun was very regretful now, he thought about it again. This might also be an opportunity for him. Since Wang Ruping could enter Green Ghost's villa, then he might be able to use Wang Ruping as a cover to sneak in. At least, the only person he knew who could enter this place was this person. Although this idea was a bit bold, Su Yun seemed to be the only way now. Since he had made up his mind, Su Yun patiently waited nearby. In order to prevent suspicion, he even took a taxi and waited. He also asked the driver to park the car at a place where the people at the entrance couldn't see. Su Yun waited for several hours. Because of this, he even paid the driver 500 yuan for the delay. He didn't even have lunch. It wasn't until 4 o'clock in the afternoon that Wang Ruping's car slowly drove out of the Lakeside Villa district. Su Yun saw this and quickly pointed. "Master, it's the car in front. Follow it closely." The taxi driver was dumbfounded when he saw the Audi. "Oh, little brother, I don't dare to follow that car. You should find someone else." There was no reason to look for an eagle when he saw a rabbit. Su Yun took out his wallet and threw out 2,000 yuan. "Master, I can't find another car now. Do me a favor and this money is yours." Even when he saw so much money, the driver still shook his head with certainty. "Little brother, it's not that I don't want to help you. I can't afford to offend that person. If he knows that I'm following him, then I won't be able to survive in Suang." "Is he that powerful?" Su Yun sneered. He watched Wang Ruping's Audi leave, but he couldn't get out of the car to chase after it. That would expose him directly. But since the driver didn't want to leave, he couldn't force him. He could only prepare to think of another way. Chapter 247. What the hell? Su Yun was slightly startled. He didn't understand what the driver meant. The taxi driver saw that Su Yun didn't react, so he explained to him. "It's corruption, pornography, gambling, drugs and black. He's proficient in everything. Don't tell me you haven't even heard of the name of the 5 Poisons Bureau chief? Little brother, you're not a local, right?" Su Yun smiled bitterly. "My accent is quite different from the local accent." "Master, you don't have to follow the car. Can you tell me how the person in the car is 5 Poisons? Of course, I won't let you say it for free. The money will still be given to you." The taxi driver smiled. The 500 yuan compensation is not a small amount. "Little brother, do you have any grudges with this Wang Wudu?" "The grudges are big. I can't wait to pull out his tendons." Su Yun didn't deny it. He saw the cynical expression on the driver's face. That's why he dared to say such words so unscrupulously. "What I hate the most in my life is people who neglect their duties and use their job to seek illegal benefits." The taxi driver slammed the steering wheel. "This Wang Wudu is quite incompetent. Take off his police uniform. He's a beast in human face. He's a shameless big hooligan. Not only does he have all the 5 poisons, he's also keen on keeping mistresses. However, there are rumors that he's a castrated man with no subordinates." "Castrated man?" Su Yun was interested. A castrated man with no subordinates actually kept mistresses? Wasn't this the biggest joke in a fantasy story? "Master, tell me about it. I'm really interested to hear it." Su Yin said. How did this person climb up step by step? The taxi driver pursed his lips and said, Don't be fooled by how arrogant and despotic Wang Wudu is now. It's said that he wasn't like this when he was young. He was an educated youth who knew how to conduct himself. He used to be a top figure. At first, he was a secretary of the Public Security Bureau. Later on, many powerful people in the underworld fell in his hands. He also climbed to the position of a sector-level cadre. After that, he was chosen by the Tan County Party secretary and was promoted all the way to the position of the deputy director of the Su-Hang City Public Security Bureau. At that time, he caught Feng Xiaojun, an A-class wanted criminal who had been crazily killing people and robbing goods in Yu, Xiang, and Gui for many years. He had committed heinous crimes but had escaped the police's pursuit time and time again. When he said this, the driver was quite impressed with Wang Ruping. But then he changed the topic. But later on, it was different. Because he liked women and had to support many women, he needed money. He slowly fell into the evil forces and became brothers with those people. Then, he became their protective umbrella. It's said that his problem of liking women was developed when he was the deputy secretary of Tan County. At that time, he got into a car accident and hurt his lower body. So his personality changed a little. Anyway, this person is a pure evil official now. But based on his previous reputation, he might still be a good official in the eyes of the higher-ups. But they don't know that he, Wang Wudu, is now the biggest bully in Su-Hang. Do the local people know about these things? Su Yin said lightly. I can't say for sure. I drive a taxi. I usually come into contact with more people and hear more things, the taxi driver said. I heard a lot of things. I can't guarantee whether he was a good official in the past, but now, you can ask anyone on the road what kind of a jerk he is. If he hadn't done so many heinous things, he wouldn't have taken the hat of Wang Wudu. Now the police world in this place is a pool of muddy water. They are all his people. Su Yin sneered. This kind of person was not worthy of the national emblem on his head. Su Yin thought of how their Special Forces team had been surrounded by the enemy during the mission because they had been betrayed by the scum of the police world. He still felt an uncontrollable anger surge in his heart. Yinlong's death was a shadow in Su Yin's heart that he could not erase. Even now, he could not face Yinlong's only sister. Although no one had blamed him, he was the captain and the instructor. His men had died during the mission. To him, it was worse than his own death. It seemed that this trip to Su-Hang was not in vain. Why not deal with the scum at the same time? Little brother, I know that you must have some grudges with this Wang Wudu, but I still want to remind you that an arm can't win against a leg. A mantis trying to stop a car is like trying to hit a stone with an egg. Bear with it. The taxi driver sighed. Su Yin did not expect the driver to be so cultured. Hee, why should I bear with it when I can't bear it? If such a dog official is in power for one more day, it will be a disaster for the people. The taxi driver was slightly stunned. He looked at Su Yin blankly. Little brother, are you sent by the higher-ups to investigate secretly? Do you want me to be? Su Yin's ambiguous words confused the taxi driver. Of course I hope so. But the taxi driver didn't have any confidence in what he said. Little brother, if you want to know the whereabouts of this Wang Wudu, it's not difficult. Although I don't dare to follow, but we locals all know that the places this Wang Wudu goes in and out of alone, other than his unit, is his house in Fugui Garden. He doesn't have a wife and lives alone. If it was any other place, there would be people around him. We can't afford to offend him. Su Yin smiled. Thank you, master. Can you tell me how to get to Fugui Garden? After getting Wang Ruping's address, Su Yin went straight back to the hotel. Wang Ruping would definitely not appear at home during the day. If he wanted to talk to him, he would have to wait until night. To deal with this kind of bastard who did too many shady things, he could only use shady means. Ling Jiling did not expect Su Yin to come back before dinner. Her mood was somewhat surging. After all, Wu Yuandong was much more boring than Su Yin. She could only stay in the room and watch movies all day. Because some unpleasant things had happened yesterday, Wu Yuandong didn't go out to eat today. After the three of them had dinner, they went to the hotel's indoor tennis room to kill some time. Seeing Ling Jiling wearing a tight tank top and a short skirt, Soo-Yun almost had a nosebleed. In addition, her chest jiggled when she played tennis. Her physical strength was depleted quite quickly, due to excessive physical strength consumption. Ling Jiling returned to the room and went to sleep early after taking a shower. After yesterday's night, she was particularly relaxed today. She did not have too much coyness with Soo-Yun. Soo-Yun did not take it seriously that she slept in his room. In any case, he was going to leave in a while. At around 10:15, Ling Jiling fell asleep. Soo-Yun quietly pushed open the door and left the room. He took the elevator and went downstairs. When he arrived at the entrance of the hotel, he saw Wu Yuandong, who was riding a cloud at the entrance. Boss would guess correctly. Wu Yuandong smiled and threw away the cigarette but in his hand. Brother Soo-Yun, if you really want to find that person to vent your anger, I will help you. Boss Wu told me on the phone that even if we make a scene here, it will be fine. At worst, we can shoot the commercial later. Soo-Yun smiled faintly. Zhuo Meiyan really knew him well. She knew that he could not stand this kind of attitude. However, this time, it was not because of this attitude. Brother Dong, this is my own business. I am not taking revenge because of what happened yesterday. If I really did not plan to finish shooting the commercial, I would have done everything yesterday. Wu Yuandong looked at Soo-Yun and nodded. And I understand. If you want me to go with you, I will not hesitate even if I have to go through a mountain of knives and a sea of flames. If you want me to stay, I will absolutely obey. Soo-Yun said firmly. I can do it myself. Okay, then be careful. Wu Yuandong nodded and said. People who came from the army were all swift and decisive in doing things. Those who dilly-dallied were called sissy. This was especially true for Wu Yuandong, a rough man who didn't know what love was. He liked to be direct and decisive in doing things. In order to ensure that no one else knew about his whereabouts, Soo-Yun walked to the Fugué Garden district that the driver had told him about. This district was not big, but it was not small either. In addition to the regular high-rise and multi-story commercial buildings, Soo-Yun also saw the few small Western-style buildings that the driver had mentioned. They were all three-story Gothic-style buildings. They looked very charming. According to the driver, Soo-Yun easily jumped into the backyard of one of the Western-style buildings. Although there were surveillance cameras in this place, it was easy to find the surveillance's blind spots. The moment Soo-Yun's feet touched the ground, a low whimper came from beside Soo-Yun. Soo-Yun looked sideways and saw a pit bull with saliva dripping from its mouth. It was glaring at him fiercely. This kind of troublemaker, brave, and fierce dog was not to be trifled with. It had a tenacious will and good endurance. If he had to fight a dog, Soo-Yun would rather deal with the Tibetan Mastiff that everyone was afraid of. But animals were intelligent. This pit bull seemed to realize that the person who had jumped over the fence was not someone to be trifled with. So it just whimpered in a low voice and did not directly attack. Soo-Yun glared at it. The pit bull also showed its teeth. Its hair began to stand up, and its ears stood forward. Its tail straightened like a rolling pin. It slowly lowered its body's center of gravity, as if it would rush forward at any time. At this time, as long as Soo-Yun relaxed his aura, this animal would definitely pounce on him. There was no doubt about that. Soo-Yun was not afraid of this animal. He was worried that this animal would make a big noise and wake up the people in the room. Because there was only a faint light in the whole house, it seemed that the owner had fallen asleep. So Soo-Yun could only overwhelm it with his aura. With the competitive character of a pit bull, unless it knew that the opponent was a creature that it absolutely could not afford to provoke, it would not control its own attack. Dogs were intelligent creatures that could sense each other's aura. For example, when two dogs fought, they would use their heads to smell each other's buttocks. The strong dog's ears and tail would stand up. If the other side did not give in, they would soon fight. There was also a provocative dog that put its head on the neck of the other dog. If the other side did not give in, it would inevitably start a fierce fight. If you want to make the other side give in, you must give it endless deterrence. Suddenly, a quiet murderous intent rose in Soo-Yun's body. Like a storm, it quickly swept through every inch of the land in the entire backyard of the Western-style house. Even this competitive pit bull lowered its head in an instant. Its whole body was close to the ground, and its tail was tightly clamped between its hind legs. Chapter 248. Su-Yun reached out and stroked the head of the submissive animal. "That's a good boy. Don't be like your stupid master, and offend people he can't afford to offend." Su-Yun leaped up like a swallow and landed on the windowsill on the second floor of the bungalow. Along the way, she shot out a pebble that shattered the surveillance camera set up in the bungalow. Su-Yun, who was preparing to sneak in quietly, was suddenly startled. He couldn't feel a trace of life in the room. The faint light was the hallway light that was on 24/7. It was almost 12 o'clock, and Wang Ruping still hadn't come back. Just when Su-Yun thought that he was early, the sound of a car engine and a beam of car light slowly moved over. Su-Yun quickly hid in the dark corner of the room. An Audi stopped in front of the bungalow. Wang Ruping got out of the car with tiredness and the smell of alcohol all over his body. It seemed that he had drunk a lot. After all, Wang Ruping was in an extremely depressed mood. He hadn't felt this depressed for many years. Seeing its master enter the courtyard, the pit bull wagged its tail and quickly ran in front of Wang Ruping. It barked a few times. On a quiet night, the dog's barking was really disturbing. Wang Ruping waved his hand to signal it to stop barking, but the dog still barked nonstop. Get lost. Wang Ruping wasn't worried that his beloved dog would disturb the other neighbors, but it was really annoying. This dog had always been very obedient. It rarely barked so impetuously. Wang Ruping kicked the pit bull's hind leg hard. The animal seemed to have realized that its master was in a bad mood. It immediately lowered its head obediently and put its belly on the ground. It didn't know what else to do to remind its master that there was an outsider in the room. Obviously, barking was definitely not going to work. Therefore, when Wang Ruping just entered the room, the pit bull sniffed with its nose and rushed into the room crazily. It went straight to the second floor. It had to let its master know that there was someone else in the room. Wang Ruping saw his beloved dog acting so crazily and was immediately upset. He grabbed his slippers and walked upstairs. As he walked, he shouted, "Heart! Get out of here! If you annoy me, I'll stew you for hot pot." Wang Ruping said as he walked up the stairs. The pit bull barked a few times before charging down the stairs towards Wang Ruping. Wang Ruping was taken aback. He slammed the slipper in his hand onto the pit bull's body. A dog was, after all, a dog. After being hit by its owner for no reason, it let out an aggrieved cry and fled the room with its tail between its legs. The alcohol made Wang Ruping's head groggy. He was known to be a man who could drink 1,000 glasses, but today he only drank 3 glasses of wine. The high alcohol content of 52 degrees made him feel groggy. Perhaps it was because of his mood. He couldn't even lift his spirits to drink. Wang Ruping didn't know that his beloved dog had just barked at the person hiding in the shadows on the second floor. He walked into the bathroom in a daze and filled the bathtub with hot water. Then he took off his clothes and lay down. It was comfortable. If the dog in the yard could be quieter, it would be even more comfortable. He didn't know how much time had passed, but the dog in the yard was silent. Wang Ruping also used the hot water to wash away the tiredness of the day. After cleaning his body, Wang Ruping walked into the bedroom with a groggy head. He didn't even bother to turn on the light. He directly lifted the quilt and lay down. The moment Wang Ruping laid down, he felt all the hair on his body stand up in fright. The warm and sticky liquid on the bed made his brain, which was numbed by the alcohol, instantly sober. What was that special fishy smell and the furry feeling he felt on his arm? Panicking, Wang Ruping rolled out of bed and turned on the bedside lamp. The whole bedroom suddenly lit up. Wang Ruping stared at his bed with wide eyes. The pit bull he had raised for 8 years had its head cut off, and its body thrown on his bed. Buzz. This was the only sound that reverberated in Wang Ruping's mind. What the hell happened in his house? Wang Ruping quickly recalled that when he had just entered the house, his pit bull was still alive and kicking. He had just taken a bath. How could its head have been cut off? Looking at the blood on the bed, his body, and the floor, Wang Ruping had a strong urge to vomit. The stench of dog blood was much worse than that of human blood. Wang Ruping took a deep breath. He really couldn't understand how his house had changed so drastically in just a few minutes while he was taking a bath. The sudden feeling of falling into hell made him lose his usual domineering confidence. Especially when Suyun pushed open the door on the balcony and slowly walked in. Wang Ruping's heart instantly exploded. Why did this person appear in his house? He didn't have time to find trouble with him, but he didn't expect him to show his strength first. This huge swang was the place where he was born and raised. It was also the place that witnessed his glory. He had mixed with people from the countryside who had to be courteous to everyone until now, where he was respected by everyone. What right did this little brat have to give him a hard time? Wang Wudu, do you want to have a good talk with me, or do you want to be like this dog? You can choose. Suyun smiled and threw the sharp kitchen knife in his hand that cut off the dog's head onto Wang Ruping's bed. The name Wang Wudu was absolutely blocked in Wang Ruping's dictionary. He hated those who spoke ill of him behind his back the most. But in the face of that bloody kitchen knife, Wang Wudu didn't harden his heart in the end. This was indeed quite different from how he was in the past. As a person who was used to seeing the bloody underworld, Wang Wudu was definitely not a person who was afraid of trouble. If he was afraid of trouble and had a soft temper, he wouldn't have been able to reach such a high position today. There were many people who had threatened him, and it wasn't like they hadn't put a gun to his head before, but he had never submitted to anyone or been afraid of anyone. Today he was courteous to the young man in front of him. It wasn't because he was shocked by the corpse of his beloved dog, but also because he couldn't understand the young man in front of him. That day, he used his power to get the police to arrest Suyun, but he was directly scolded by the people above. Just based on this point, Wang Ruping wouldn't act rashly against Suyun. He didn't dare to offend people who were more powerful than him. Even so, Wang Ruping wouldn't easily bow his head. After all, he wasn't a newbie who had just entered the officialdom. Friend, if you really want to talk, I'm afraid you won't use this method, right? Wang Ruping tried to make his voice sound calm, but in the end he couldn't help but tremble, mainly because he was too frightened just now. Suyun didn't expect that Wang Ruping, who was stained with dog blood, could talk to him face to face like this. He finally knew why he could become Wang Wudu. People who didn't have courage really couldn't be in his position. If you really wanted to kill me, I'm afraid the one lying on the bed now is my corpse, right? Wang Ruping continued. You won't kill me. If you have any conditions, just say it. I know you must be a person with a background. I hope we can stay out of each other's business. Otherwise, I'm afraid we won't have a good ending. I'm not the same kind of person as you. Don't think that you're a crow and others are as black as you. Suyun said coldly. Don't think that I don't dare to kill you. If you don't agree to my conditions, then I can only tell you that you're wrong about me. Wang Ruping stared at Suyun's gaze. The two of them looked at each other without any hesitation. Finally, Wang Ruping believed that Suyun's words were true. If he didn't agree to his conditions, he might really end up like this pit bull. Finally, Wang Ruping made up his mind. What conditions do you have? Help me sneak into the lakeside scenery tomorrow. Suyun smiled. Wang Ruping's expression changed. The person living there was a fierce dragon that crossed the river. In less than a month, he had cleaned up the mess in Suang. That was someone who had moved Feng Qiansui, who had always been as stable as a rock in Suang. You're from the underground world? Wang Ruping's face gradually darkened. Suyun's eyes were like lightning. I'm afraid I don't have to explain it to you, right? Director Five Poisons, I know you're a smart person. You should know very well who lives in the lakeside scenery. If I even dare to provoke him, what do you think you are in my eyes? Wang Ruping's heart, which had always been fearless, suddenly felt fear. Although he dared to abuse his power in the entire Suang underworld, he knew very well that he couldn't provoke any of the big shots in the underground world because those people wouldn't care about friendship or relationship with you. In their world, only the strong preyed on the weak. When he knew that the young man in front of him wasn't from the ordinary underworld but the underground world, he realized that he had met someone he couldn't afford to provoke. Since you know that I know who lives in the lakeside scenery, do you think I dare to take you there? Wang Ruping suppressed his anger and humiliation and said, I can't even afford to offend you, let alone the person who occupied the lakeside scenery. Although I don't know who you are, I want to tell you that the entire Swang police force can't afford to offend that person. Even the people sent by the higher-ups have evacuated. I'm not stupid enough to risk my life to provoke that kind of person. Your condition is simply forcing me to do something I can't do. Suyin shrugged. If you think so, then I can only say that I'm sorry. I won't let you live to see the sun tomorrow. Wang Ruping's eyes widened. If the other party really dared to make a move, it wouldn't be too late for him to change his mind. Suyin suddenly thought of a problem. Wang Ruping was a level 1 police superintendent. With his identity and status in the Swang police force, he definitely knew that the Dragon Brigade had sent people over. So Suyin changed the topic. You've seen a person called Black Dragon, right? Chapter 249. Wang Ruping's face was clearly distorted. Who the hell are you? Obviously, Wang Ruping was completely stunned when Su Yun said such a secret. Wang Ruping was now full of curiosity about Su Yun's identity. It should be known that Black Dragon was a member of the country's special department. After the fall of Suangfeng Qiansui, the underground world was in chaos, and the police were powerless to reverse the situation, so he was sent to cooperate with them. He was a legendary master. Wang Ruping had met Black Dragon a few times, but then there was no news of him. In the end, Green Ghost calmed the commotion and maintained the balance of Su Hong's underground world. Wang Ruping couldn't even see Black Dragon's shadow. Wang Ruping had always thought that Black Dragon was there for the balance of power in the underground world, and that Green Ghost's unification was so smooth. Perhaps he had helped. But today, after hearing Su Yun's words, he suddenly realized that something was wrong. Perhaps things weren't as simple as he had guessed. Great Inspector, do you think you're interrogating a criminal? Su Yun sneered. Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, I don't care what excuse you use. Take me in. You only need to stall for an hour. Once the hour is up, drive away immediately. What about you? Wang Ruping's eyes widened. Su Yun glared at him, and Wang Ruping immediately shut his mouth. His mind was spinning rapidly. If he took him in and told Green Ghost directly, would he be able to easily get rid of this kid and take revenge on him for not having any descendants? Without waiting for Wang Ruping to confirm his thoughts, Su Yun said, You should know very well what kind of person is in the Lakeside Villa district. If my identity is exposed, I believe that I have the ability to escape, but it's hard to say whether you'll live or die. Green Ghost's biggest characteristic should be that he's paranoid. I'm sure Black Dragon told you this when he came, right? In order to let Wang Ruping know that he wasn't joking, Su Yun suddenly raised his leg and lashed out at the wall of Wang Ruping's bedroom. With a loud boom, a huge hole was blasted out of the solid concrete wall by Su Yun's kick. Wang Ruping shuddered as he looked at the bedroom. So you're in the same department as Black Dragon? Cut the crap. Don't ask what you shouldn't ask. Su Yun's cold gaze made Wang Ruping shudder again. Wang Ruping suddenly smiled. If that's the case, then we should be in a cooperative relationship. The military and the police are not separated. I can understand if you don't say it. You have a mission and are a secret force. As a member of the Swang police, of course, I have to cooperate fully. But perhaps we can change the way we cooperate. After all, we are a family. Who's your family? Su Yun reminded him. You're the famous chief of the 5 poisons in Suang. You've been wearing a black hat for so many years. Don't tell me you don't know how many crimes you've committed? Who can have no mistakes in their life? Wang Ruping explained. At least I reduced the crime rate in Suang. This is something that others can't do. Su Yun snorted heavily. If you count the things you've committed, do you think the crime rate is really low? And those dogs under you, you have to clean up their mess. Of course, the crime rate in Suang is low because many things are not considered crimes in your eyes, right? Wang 5 Poisons, your nickname is really good. Do you think no one knows what you've done? If you want to make up for your mistakes, cooperate with me tomorrow. Wang Ruping had never been afraid of anyone in his life, nor had he been frightened by anyone's threats. The only thing he was afraid of was that this hat on his head would suddenly be taken off by someone one day. Although he felt that he had a backer and a stronger umbrella, He also knew very well that if he fell off the horse, those people would probably not save him. At that time, it would be lucky if they did not hit him when he was down. Su-yin did not expect to reach an agreement with Wang Ruping like this. He did not know why he led Wang Ruping to think that the higher-ups wanted to investigate him. However, this was good. Wang Ruping would definitely cooperate with him to protect his black hat on his head. What did you do at the lakeside scenery today? Who did you meet? Before Su-yin left, he knew that there were some things that needed to be clarified. Wang Ruping's face turned red and white. I don't want Green Ghost to cause too much trouble during my time in office, so I promised him a condition. I will send him a fresh girl every week. As long as I satisfy his request, he will promise me that he will not embarrass me. You really played the role of a family of policemen and bandits incisively and vividly. If it wasn't for the breathing method that restrained Su-yin's temper, Su-yin would have taken out a knife and skinned Wang Ruping alive. Just to not embarrass him during his time in office, he could promise Green Ghost to send him a girl every week. He really wanted to cut open Wang Ruping's stomach and see what color his conscience was. Su-yin narrowed his eyes. Traces of killing intent faintly exploded in his body. Although his kicking through the wall was not enough to scare Wang Ruping, Wang Ruping had seen Black Dragon's ability to fight against 20 special police officers alone. If he was the same kind of person as Black Dragon, Wang Ruping obviously wouldn't provoke him. I will cooperate fully, to atone for my crimes. Of course, Wang Ruping wasn't naive enough to think that he could atone for his crimes by doing this. However, he had no way out now. If he didn't cooperate, he was afraid that the other party had the right to punish him on the spot. Who knew if these people from the mysterious department had the right to act first and report later? Wang Ruping didn't want to touch Su-yin's bottom line without knowing. Su-yin left in a carefree manner, but Wang Ruping couldn't sleep the whole night. Not to mention the stench of dog blood that filled the room. The matter that he promised Su-yin was enough to give him a splitting headache for the whole night. Although he left Fugué Garden, Su-yin couldn't guarantee that Wang Ruping wouldn't tip off Green Ghost. He didn't return to the hotel at all. Instead, he directly ordered a cup of coffee from a 24-hour coffee shop opposite Fugué Garden. He found a seat near the window so that he could clearly see the cars coming in and out of Fugué Garden. Sir, here's your hot latte. The waitress in the coffee shop was a delicate and pretty girl. She brought Su-yin a cup of coffee, and her voice lingered in the air. Before Su-yin could say a word of thanks, the coffee shop's door was pushed open heavily. Although the shop was open 24 hours, there weren't many people. Other than Su-yin and the waitress, there were only 3 young men who pushed the door open. The first young man to enter the shop glared fiercely at the only customer in the shop, Su-yin. Su-yin could smell the strong smell of alcohol on the 3 young men, just by using his nose. He wasn't interested in arguing with a little ruffian, so he didn't retaliate at all when the young man glared at him. The 2 people who followed behind the young man also looked at Su-yin with the same provocative gaze. However, seeing that Su-yin didn't have any reaction, they didn't push their luck. The waitress on the night shift had a faint timid expression on her face. After all, she was a female student who hadn't left school yet. She experienced life in a place like this, but didn't really come into contact with society. It was natural for her to be afraid. However, this was her job. She had to insist on smiling at all the customers who entered the shop. Sister, give us 3 cups of free refills. The young man in the lead shouted. He rolled up his sleeves, revealing the fiendish ghost head tattoo on his arm. Please wait a moment. The voice was still so clear, tactful, and pleasant to listen to. The 3 young men sat diagonally across from Su-yin. They didn't care about Su-yin's presence or the words, "No smoking" on the wall at all. They directly lit up the cigarettes in their hands, and then shouted loudly, F***CK, where can we find pure girls these days? The boss really has a lot of **T to do. He just needs to spend more money to find 2 bitches to pretend to be pure. He really wants pure girls. Nowadays, those bitches are more and more pure than the other. The young man with a mohawk and earrings said helplessly. The young man with the ghost head tattoo on his arm glared at him fiercely. Why do you talk so much nonsense when we just asked you to do something? Think about it. If the boss finds out that we're just bitches that he spent money to find to pretend to be pure, how are we going to survive? The other tall hoodlum with long eyebrows and a bitter face said with a long face, but the frequency of his requests is too frequent. He asks for one every week. We've already searched all the famous schools in Suzhou and Hangzhou. We've threatened those that could be threatened, and those that surrendered have all surrendered. Now all that's left are just some sluts. Where the F***ck are we going to find pure girls? At this time, the girl who worked part-time in the coffee shop walked in front of the three hoodlums with 3 cups of coffee. Hello, your coffee. After gathering her courage a few times, the girl opened her mouth again. Our shop prohibits smoking. I hope the 3 of you can't smoke? The young man with the earrings sneered. He took a drag of his cigarette and blew it in front of the girl. Then can I smoke you? The girl hurriedly took a few steps back and used her hand to fan away the second-hand smoke in front of her. Please show some respect. We have installed cameras in the shop. Perhaps because the girl's tone had a hint of warning, the young man with the earrings' face became ferocious. So what if there are cameras? You think I'm afraid of cameras? I'm telling you, I like that. I like to take selfies with women. After I take them, I like to post them on the internet. Threatening me? Then I'll let you show your face. In the blink of an eye, just as Su Yun was about to help, the young man with the ghost head tattoo on his arm grabbed the young man with the earrings. The young man with the earrings was slightly startled. He turned around and said, "Brother, what are you doing?" "Haha, don't you think this girl fits our criteria for a girl?" The young man with the ghost head tattoo smiled. "She's so pure. One look and you can tell that she's not faking it." Chapter 250. In Huaxia society, a large number of parents did not want their children to be wronged. The better the family's conditions, the greater the spoiling of their children. Therefore, a considerable number of people still rarely came into contact with the bad aspects of society after entering university. For example, Miru Xian had never left the care of her parents since she was a child. Therefore, after coming to Swang University, she had a special impulse to be independent and come into contact with society. Otherwise, with her superior family background, she would not have come to work in such a small coffee shop of less than 40 square meters. This was her first night shift. At first, she was quite excited, but when she found out that she was alone, her heart began to beat like a snare drum. Fortunately, this place was relatively prosperous, and the residents of the nearby community were also high-quality people, so she slowly calmed down. When it was past 12 o'clock, Miru Xian felt that no one would come to the coffee shop late at night. Just when she was bored to death, a handsome man came in and asked for a cup of hot latte. She was very excited to have a customer late at night. Moreover, it was a handsome man who looked a little cold and melancholy. Miru Xian, who had returned to the counter, kept peeking at the only customer in the coffee shop. However, the customer did not seem to be interested in her. Instead, he preferred to look out the window. The 3 customers who appeared in the shop made Su Roxian a little nervous. Normally, the people who came to the shop to drink coffee were either white-collar workers or students. Basically, there were no such people who didn't belong in society. This was also the reason why she chose to work in a coffee shop to experience life. Those who had nothing to do with society would rather drink beer that cost 3 yuan a bottle than a cup of ordinary instant coffee that cost 18 yuan and could be refilled for free. But now, there were 3 customers who looked like hooligans entering the coffee shop. They ordered the kind of instant coffee that cost 18 yuan and could be refilled until the bottom of the cup was exposed. Miru Xian was already very nervous. These 3 customers talked loudly and even smoked. Everything made her feel helpless. She plucked up her courage and brought the coffee over. She didn't expect that one of the 3 would get up and hit her just because she said smoking was forbidden. At that time, she looked expectantly at the other single customer, but then she thought that there was no need for him to get involved in this mess. Fortunately, the man with the ear stud who was about to make a move on her was stopped by the man with the ghost head tattoo on his arm. Otherwise, Soft Pavilion really didn't know what to do. "Sister, can Big Brother ask you something?" The ghost tattooed man couldn't hide the evil look on his face when he smiled. How much do you earn every month working here? Maru Xian didn't want to answer at first, but because of the threat of these three people, she cowardly gave up and said weakly, 800. You can do it for 800 yuan? The man with the earring exclaimed and rolled his eyes. Labor was really cheap these days. I'm working part-time. I'm just a freshman at Suheng University. Maru Xian defended herself. She hated it when people looked down on her. It was as if she couldn't live alone after leaving her parents. When they heard that she was a freshman at Suheng University, the eyes of the three hoodlums lit up. Wasn't this more in line with their boss's requirements? Sister, let me introduce you to a job. You can earn a year's salary in one day. Do you want it? The ghost-tattooed man still had a malicious smile on his face. Maru Xian was shocked. A year's salary, 9,600. What kind of job could earn 10,000 a day? This person was obviously up to no good. She didn't want to pay them any more attention. Just as she turned to leave, the man with the earring stood up and blocked her way. Do you want it or not? Say something. The man with the earring sneered. The man with the sour face also stood up and blocked Maru Xian's way with the man with the earring. Sister, such a good job is hard to come by. Since you've encountered it today, you must seize the opportunity. Su Roxian's heart was in her throat. Even though there was an alarm system in the shop, she was not at the counter, so there was nothing she could do. She gathered her courage and raised her head to say to the three, I'm sorry. I'm not interested. So I won't do it. Please move aside. Of course, the three hoodlums wouldn't let the person in front of them go so easily. They grinned and raised their heads to laugh. The man with the earring laughed the most exaggeratedly. He didn't know how to be gentle with women. If this girl didn't agree, he didn't mind using violence. At this moment, Su Yin knocked on the table and said to Maru Xian, Waiter, do you have candy? Give me another piece. It was clearly not the right time for Su Yin to interrupt the three hooligans. The three of them were instantly enraged. All of them looked at Su Yin with murderous gazes. The corner of the ghost-tattooed man's mouth twitched. He suddenly clenched his fist. The man with the earring sneered and strode toward Su Yin. As he walked, he cursed, F***ck, can't you see that I'm looking for a better job for this girl? You want the F***king candy. As soon as he finished speaking, the man with the earring was already in front of Su Yun's table. Without thinking, he raised his leg and stomped on Su Yun's body. That swift kick almost made the frightened Maru Xian faint. Of course, she could tell that Su Yun wanted to help her out by asking for candy. But now he got himself into trouble. Maru Xian felt really bad. However, before the man with the earring could kick down, Su Yun had already picked up the cup of hot coffee and splashed it all over the hoodlum's face. The man with the earring yelped from the scalding coffee and took a few steps back reflexively. Taking advantage of this, Su Yun stood up unhurriedly from his seat. He glanced at the tattooed man and the sour-faced man. Then, just as the man with the earring reacted and was about to retaliate, he suddenly raised his leg. A swift kick caught the young man's chin, causing him to bite his own tongue. Just as he was about to fall backwards, a powerful kick smashed into the young man's face. In an instant, his face looked as if it had been dyed red. The man with the earring groaned and lay on the ground. He didn't have the slightest reaction after that. Su Yun didn't even look at the other two hoodlums. Instead, he said to Maru Xian, Waiter, it looks like we'll need another cup of coffee. Maru Xian's heart thumped wildly. She swore that this was the most exciting night she had ever experienced in her life. There were people fighting less than 2 meters in front of her. Moreover, it was so violent that even blood was flowing out. Was this called a brawl? Normally, she would be scared out of her wits when she saw this kind of movie. Now that it was happening in the real world, it made her even more excited. While the other two hoodlums were in a daze, Maru Xian jumped over the man with the earring, who was lying paralyzed on the ground. She sped up and fled into the shop's workstation. As soon as Maru Xian entered the workstation, she reached out to touch the alarm. However, the moment she was about to press it, she stopped. If she pressed it, she might not have the chance to thank the handsome guy who saved her. The ear-piercing beeping sound would not only scare away the hoodlums, but also the customers. Brat! You mother*****. Who do you belong to? The tattooed man slammed the table and stood up. He looked at the man who had been kicked to the ground. He knew that the other party wasn't simple. But even if he wasn't simple, so what? He wasn't afraid of trouble. Suyin shrugged and said with a smile, "Me? I'm a tourist." The tattooed man was even more furious when he heard that it was a foreigner. He gave Sourface a look, and the two of them immediately walked toward Suyin. Sourface reached out to his belt and pulled out a folding dagger. The blade was sharpened, revealing a cold light. Miru Xian, who was behind the counter, almost cried out when she saw this. She wanted to remind Suyin to be careful, but for some reason her voice was stuck in her throat. She watched as Sourface walked up to Suyin. Suddenly, he pulled out a knife from his back and stabbed toward Suyun's lower abdomen. Just when Sourface thought that he had succeeded, a big hand grabbed his wrist like a pair of pliers. The tip of the dagger stopped right in front of Suyun's lower abdomen. Suyin had a faint smile on his face. He really wanted to tell Sourface that if he thought that he could easily hurt him, the instructor of the Dragon Fury team, with a dagger, then he was gravely mistaken. The tattooed man was quick to react. When he saw that the other party had grabbed the dagger, he immediately raised his leg and kicked the wrist of the man who was holding the dagger. He hoped to use the strength of his leg to directly cut open the other party's stomach. However, the one who reacted quickly was Suyin. Suyin twisted the joint and Sourface's wrist was directly deformed. The dagger that was originally aimed at Suyun's lower abdomen also made a 180-degree turn and pointed directly behind him. The tattooed man didn't have the time to retract his leg. He immediately kicked the dagger fiercely. The dagger easily pierced through his shoes and feet. The strength of his leg also easily broke the wrinkled man's right wrist, killing two birds with one stone. Suyin clapped his hands as if nothing had happened. He smiled slightly at Miru Xian behind the counter. "Is the coffee ready?" Even at this time, Suyin didn't forget to glance at the entrance of Fugue Garden. After confirming that Wang Ruping's car wasn't coming in, he sat down with relief. There were 3 people lying on the ground. One was silent, and the other 2 were crying out in pain. "I'll give you 10 seconds to scram," Suyin said casually. The 3 hooligans supported each other and left the coffee shop in a sorry state. At this time, Miru Xian also served Suyin a new cup of hot latte. She said sincerely to him, "Thank you. My name is Miru Xian. What about you?" Suyin. Chapter 251. After Miru Xian cleaned up the floor that was dirted by the fight, she took a dessert from the counter and handed it to Suyin. "It's on me." Suyin smiled. "Sorry, I just dirted the shop, and you're still treating me to food? If it weren't for you, I really don't know what to do." Miru Xian shrugged and pouted. "Anyway, I have to mop the floor many times every day, so it's nothing." Suyin didn't stand on ceremony. He tasted the small cake that was given to him for free. It tasted pretty good. "Are you really here to travel? Why aren't you afraid of those people? They don't look like good people. Aren't you afraid that they'll take revenge on you?" Miru Xian looked worried. Suyin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Suyin thought for a moment. "If I was worried about them taking revenge on me, I would have run away a long time ago. I wouldn't stay here and wait for them to come looking for me." Miru Xian nodded. Then her eyes suddenly widened. She looked at Suyin blankly. "What do you mean? Stay here and wait for them to come looking for revenge? Will they come back?" Suyin looked at the flustered Miru Xian and said, "Do you think they'll leave so willingly after suffering a loss? Little girl, have you become stupid from all that school?" I've never encountered such a situation. How would I know if they'll come back?" Miru Xian blushed. Not only because Suyin doubted her lack of common sense, but also because Suyin called her little girl. Suyin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Even if you haven't experienced it, you should have seen movies, right? You've seen Young and Dangerous, right? No. Miru Xian continued to look confused. "Forget it then." Suyin smiled. "But don't worry, I won't leave now. When they come back for revenge, they will come for me, not you, so you just have to hide. I'll try my best not to fight in the store. If I break anything, don't worry, I'll compensate you accordingly. After saying that, Suyin took out his wallet first. The coffee of the 3 people just now is also on me. Suyin believed that any family with a little bit of money would not allow their children to do such things when they were still in school. Boys could do some exercise, but girls did not need to work at night for a monthly salary of 800 yuan. It was too dangerous. Miru-Xian hurriedly pushed Suyin's money back. No, I'll pay for it, and your coffee is on me. You're paying? Suyin was stunned. A few cups of coffee added up to more than 100 yuan. And there was also the small cake. Doesn't that mean you don't have your salary for the past few days? Miru-Xian pouted. I'm not short of money. This happened because of me, so of course I can't let you pay. Suyin was just about to say something when he inadvertently saw the jewelry necklace on Miru-Xian's neck. Suyin had seen the same design before, because Ling Zhiling also wore a similar necklace, a Bulgari, that seemed to be worth around 100,000 yuan. Damn. This was obviously the daughter of a rich family. She was working at a coffee shop with such a figure? He really did not know if this girl's brain was flooded with water. You're not short of money, and you're still working here? Are you crazy? Did your head get caught in the door or kicked by a donkey? Suyin could not help but ask. Miru-Xian was stunned at first, then very seriously said, I'm in good health. I'm experiencing life, earning my own living. Earning your own living? Then you don't care about the 100 yuan? People who really earn their own living will not ask for living expenses at home. Suyin said bluntly. You're wearing a necklace worth more than 100,000 yuan to work here. Aren't you afraid of being robbed? Miru-Xian quickly reached out to cover the necklace on her neck and said nervously. Who said this necklace is valuable? This is what I bought at a street stall, only 15 yuan. I'll give you 150 yuan. Can you sell it to me? Suyin rolled his eyes. This girl was quite good at making things up. Anyway, I'll experience my own life. I don't want others to interfere. Miru-Xian said. Since you know they'll come back for revenge, you should leave quickly. I'll also close the shop. At worst, the boss will take half a month's salary. I don't want you to be beaten up here. Suyin smiled. She was indeed a child of a rich family, thinking that everything could be solved with a little money. He could guarantee that if they dared to close the shop and leave, it would not be a matter of half a month's salary. If I leave and you close the shop, I guarantee that they will dare to burn down the shop. What? Miru-Xian trembled. What kind of joke was this? Was it so exaggerated? It was not a deep hatred. If you don't believe me, you can try. Suyin still had a smile on his face. At worst, you can pay your boss tens of thousands of yuan for the renovation. That will solve the problem. Miru-Xian listened and nodded repeatedly. Yes, yes, yes. Then we'll do as you say. Do you have tens of thousands of yuan to pay? Suyin was speechless. He had not said those things to give her directions. Miru-Xian still nodded. I can afford tens of thousands of yuan. Let's go quickly. I don't want to be blocked in the shop by those bad people. It's scary just thinking about it. If tens of thousands of yuan is not enough, I'll call my father and ask him to give me more. Money is not a problem anyway. At this time, several cars had driven up to the coffee shop and stopped in front of it. Suyin looked out the window and smiled slightly. He said to Miru-Xian, but it's too late now. Their people are already here. What? Miru-Xian's jaw almost dropped. Was it that fast? Could this really be a movie? Even if the 3 punks wanted to call for help, it would take time. It had only been half an hour, and people were already coming for revenge. Wasn't it too exaggerated? But this is also good. In fact, many times, problems can be solved without money. Suyin smiled and stood up. He did not want to mess up the shop, so he walked out consciously. More than 20 people got out of the cars outside. The tattooed young man whose right foot was pierced by a dagger was standing beside a burly man. When he saw Suyin take the initiative to walk out, the tattooed young man pointed at Suyin's nose and shouted angrily, "Boss! It's this bastard who attacked us just now. This kid, he..." Before the young man finished speaking, the burly man slapped the tattooed young man 3 times on the spot before he fell to his knees. The tattooed young man looked at the angry boss with a blank face. He did not know what he had done wrong. The burly man was unable to restrain his anger. He directly raised his foot and stomped on the tattooed young man. The little punk did not dare to resist. He held his head and begged for mercy. He did not know why the boss was so angry. The others also looked at each other and did not dare to say a word. A few sharp-eyed people had already recognized the person who walked out of the coffee shop. They could not help but take in a cold breath. Zhu Laohei, that's enough. Su Yan waved his hand and had a smile on his face. Why do you appear everywhere? Zhu Laohei's face became even darker. He was also puzzled. Why did Su Yan appear everywhere? What kind of bad luck did he walk on? It was as if he had been splashed with water. Just now he had no choice but to kick his men. If Su Yan did not tell him to stop, Zhu Laohei would not dare to stop. Moreover, he was really angry. He had just escaped from the hands of this big Buddha in front of him. And now his men caused trouble and fell into his hands. This was clearly dragging him into the fire pit. Grandpa Yan, this means that we are fated. Zhu Laohei rubbed his hands in front of his chest. Grandpa Yan, my men have eyes but do not see. He is a blind man who only uses his eyes to breathe. I will go back and poke him blind. Ouch, Grandpa Yan. Okay, don't be troubled by this. Su Yan had already heard the conversation between the three young men. They were looking for young girls for Wang Ruping to give to Green Ghost as a tribute. Letting these bastards come out to find young girls to harm. This is what Wang Ruping told you to do, right? Zhu Laohei nodded vigorously. Yes. Grandpa Yan, but I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to follow him anymore. I didn't have time to tell my subordinates, As he spoke, Zhu Laohei gave the tattooed man a vicious kick. These bastards are too self-aware. Su Yan pointed at Zhu Laohei's nose. I'll give you one last chance, Zhu Laohei. If you don't want to die, and don't want to go back to prison for the rest of your life, then start organizing all the evidence of Wang Ruping's crimes. I want all the evidence of him using his power for personal gain, or participating in the underworld. You should know what I do. I'm helping you, Zhu Laohei, do you understand? Zhu Laohei's eyes widened as he exclaimed in his heart. So Grandpa Yan was here to deal with Wang Ruping. He was a person who knew how to adapt to the situation. If he didn't jump off Wang Ruping's boat now, sooner or later, he would capsize. Now that Su Yan gave him a chance to grab onto the rope, if he didn't, then he wouldn't be able to live the rest of his life. Even if he didn't go to prison, he would have to hide for the rest of his life. He would also have to live in fear that Grandpa Yan would take his life. Understood. Grandpa Yan, I'll do whatever you tell me to do. Zhu Laohei nodded. I promise I won't let you down. Su Yan nodded. I'll give you 3 days to organize everything. Once you're done, send it directly to the front desk of the Waltz Hotel. You're now a tainted witness. If anyone comes to you for evidence, you should know what you have to do. This is your only chance. Do this well, and make up for your mistakes. I'll help you plead for leniency. You don't have to worry about going in with Wang Ruping and never coming out again. With Su Yan's guarantee, Zhu Laohei's heart felt a lot more at ease. Scram. Su Yan heavily spat out a word. Zhu Laohei quickly got on his horse and left with his tail between his legs. Su Yan sneered. He wouldn't help him plead for leniency. Zhu Laohei was a black-hearted person who dared to do anything. After not harming wild animals, he started harming people. This time, he would really be locked up for a long time. Anyway, this kind of person couldn't be changed. Letting him out would only bring disaster to the world. Chapter 252. Su Roxian watched the scene outside nervously from inside the coffee shop. She really couldn't understand what kind of witchcraft Su Yan had used to make that rather ferocious-looking underworld boss nod and bow to him, obeying his every command. Finally, the people who came to smash the shop left. Su Yan returned to the coffee shop and shook the cup at her with a smile. Can I refill my latte? Others can't, but you can. Miru Xian smiled and turned on the hot milk machine. She said to Su Yan, it's not good to drink so much coffee at night. Are you going to drink here all night? Su Yan nodded. Yes, because I'm going to sit here all night. I need something to refresh myself. If you can find something better than coffee in your shop, I don't mind changing it. Miru Xian was stunned. If you want to refresh yourself, don't drink latte. I'll give you black coffee. No. I still like latte with more milk, mainly because I don't like coffee very much. Su Yun hurriedly said, so you know. Miru Xian smiled slightly. Since you don't like coffee, why don't you have a pot of tea? But it says coffee shop outside. Su Yun looked at the coffee list with a blank face. Under dozens of densely packed coffees, he saw the words Westlake Longjing, Suzhou Jasmine, Anqi Tiguanyin, and Chimen Black Tea. Well, I think if you meet someone who orders latte in the future, you can ask him if he wants a pot of Suzhou Jasmine. Miru Xian couldn't help but cover her mouth and laugh. She didn't stop making a cup of hot latte, but she also immediately brewed a pot of Suzhou Jasmine tea for Su Yun. When she put the tea and coffee on Su Yun's table at the same time, Su Yun pointed to the latte. It's on me. Miru Xian didn't refuse and took the latte. She also liked this kind of drink that could be said to be mixed with coffee and hot milk, so she felt that she was particularly congenial with Su Yun. Can you tell me what you did outside just now? Why was that mafia boss so afraid of you? Miru Xian said. I really want to know. If you tell me next time I encounter this kind of situation, I can solve it myself. Su Yun shrugged and tasted the fragrant jasmine tea. I told him that if I found a phone booth and wore my red underwear outside, you wouldn't even have a chance to run away. Pfft. Miru Xian almost choked on her laughter. She said with a helpless and amused expression. They don't really think you're Superman, do they? Aren't they too stupid? Su Yun looked at Miru Xian without saying a word. Miru Xian's bright smile instantly turned into a stunned expression. Her voice also became serious. You're not really Superman, are you? I think you're still a little stupid. Su Yun put away his serious face. Miru Xian knew that she was deliberately played by Su Yun, but she didn't show the slightest sign of anger. Instead, she said with a serious face, well, so what if I'm stupid? In my heart, you're my superhero. Su Yun suddenly felt that the freshman girls were so naive. What did you study at the University of Suzhou? I majored in broadcasting from the journalism department. Miru Xian smiled. I think it's very cool to be a host. Of course, I'm referring to the host of an entertainment program, not a news program. Because I can see a lot of celebrities. Su Yun nodded. Very cool ideal. You're from Suzhou? No, I'm from Yanjing. Miru Xian's answer was very straightforward. Then why didn't you go to Yanjing University? Why did you come to Suzhou? Su Yun didn't understand. Yanjing University is probably better than Suzhou, right? Is it because Yanjing University's score is high? But for you Yanjing candidates, the score isn't high, right? Miru Xian nodded. There's no problem with my score. I just want to go to a place far away from home. I want to know if I can live well, without my parents. Su Yun didn't expose her naive thoughts. Whether she could live well without her parents, she didn't need to go so far away. She only needed to tell her family, don't give me money anymore. Only when she cut off her source of income could she test whether she had really grown up. She didn't need to go to a place far away, and still use the credit card her parents prepared for her every day. This wasn't independence at all. True independence was to be able to earn money to solve your own food and clothing problems. If you couldn't even do this, then don't talk about leaving your parents. Many college students seem to be so naive. Su Yun didn't care about this. He still hoped that students could focus on their studies. Since your parents don't need you to earn money, you just need to study hard. Learn your broadcasting skills well. Maybe you can really be an entertainment host in the future. Miru Xian shook her head bitterly. My parents will definitely do everything they can to get me to be a news host. They definitely won't help me to be an entertainment host. Everything in this society needs connections. I don't have the confidence to be an entertainment host after graduation. If you don't try, how do you know you can't do it? Su Yun smiled and wrote Arabic numbers on the table with his finger. This is my phone number. Maybe I can help you when the time comes. Miru Xian's eyes lit up. Really? What do you do? As for me, I'm unemployed. Su Yun nodded. Then he thought for a while and said, but I have friends in the entertainment industry and also in the TV station. We help each other. Su-ro Pavilion's curiosity towards this so-called jobless wanderer grew even more. The two sat by the window and chatted until dawn. Miru Xian suddenly realized that staying up late wasn't that difficult. At first, she doubted that she could stick to her first night shift. Now that it was dawn, she really felt a little sore all over. Su Yun and the college-aged girl in front of him chatted very well. The two of them also called each other brother and sister. Su Yun liked Miru Xian's innocence, and Miru Xian liked Su Yun's sincerity. A replacement employee came to the coffee shop, so Su-ro Xian packed her things and prepared to take a taxi back to school. Before she left, Su Yun gave her a piece of advice, telling her to stay in school obediently. This kind of work experience wouldn't give her any social experience. On the contrary, working the night shift would bring danger to her. If an accident happened, it wouldn't be worth it. Miru Xian took Su Yun's words to heart. After she made up her mind, she called her boss and quit her job. After Su Yun watched Miru Xian leave in a taxi, he also saw Wang Ruping driving the Audi slowly out of the Fugui Garden community. Su Yun was no longer worried that Wang Ruping would go back on his word. If Wang Ruping wanted to go back on his word, he would have taken action last night. Wang Ruping stayed at home all night, and just went to work in the morning. The morning passed quickly. At 10 o'clock, Wang Ruping arrived at the place where he and Su Yun had agreed to meet. He came alone. He didn't bring a driver with him, and there was no car following him. Su Yun directly opened the door and sat behind the driver's seat. He went straight to the point. Have you thought of a reason? Yes. Wang Ruping's reaction was also very calm, as expected of an old fox who had been in society for a long time. Green Ghost's biggest characteristic is that he is a pervert. I told him that I would take him to a fun place to pass the time. That's simple. Su Yun was a little doubtful. Wang Ruping didn't seem to want to say it, but seeing Su Yun's expression, he had to explain. That day, when I arranged for people to catch you in the hotel, I wanted to give the actress who was with you to Green Ghost. I said everything, but I didn't do it. Yesterday, Green Ghost asked me when I would bring the actress to him. Su Yun really had the urge to slap him twice. I knew that you would be angry if I said that, so I didn't want to say it. Wang Ruping continued. Yesterday, I called a friend. He has a high-end club where he can find some third-rate actresses to sleep with, so I asked him to arrange 2 for me. Today, I came to find Green Ghost, so I can invite him over legitimately. I can say that it's because I didn't do what I promised him. He won't suspect me. For this guy to be able to climb to his current position, his brain was indeed not ordinary. In this case, Green Ghost would definitely not think that there was anything suspicious about Wang Ruping's frequent visits to his home. Inviting him to play with 2 actresses at night was probably a great temptation, and a good way to divert his attention. Although this might cost him hundreds of thousands more, if it could save his life, why wouldn't Wang Ruping do it? He knew that he was already standing on the edge of a cliff. If money could really fill the bottomless abyss in front of him and save his life, then he would definitely not hesitate to push all his money down as a cushion. Is the club you're talking about Qin Club? Su Yun didn't know why Chao Nanshan's figure appeared in his mind. Perhaps it was because that person was also a 1,000-year-old fox. Wang Ruping was a little shocked. You even know this? Su Yun smiled faintly. Seeing Wang Ruping's surprised look, he casually scared him. I know your every move very well. Do you think I came alone? Not everyone can see you, but there will be someone monitoring you at any time. Even when you go to the bathroom and take a shower, there must be ears on the walls. This is my kind reminder to you. You're on your own. Su Yun's words made Wang Ruping break out in a cold sweat. Fortunately, he didn't put his crooked idea into practice yesterday. Otherwise, wouldn't he be dead now? He even knew the name of the club he had set. He must have heard his phone call at home yesterday. There was actually someone hiding at home. The more Wang Ruping thought about it, the more uneasy he felt. Let's go. Su Yun sat comfortably. Remember, delay for an hour before leaving. Wang Ruping nodded and pointed to a box of exquisite tea leaves on the passenger seat. I've prepared everything. Don't worry. Chapter 253. When the car slowly drove into the villa area, Soo-Yun slowly got up. He carefully observed every detail because those places could be hidden with surveillance cameras. Just the protective measures on the outer wall already let Soo-Yun know how careful Green Ghost was. But perhaps because of this, the security inside was more relaxed. At least Soo-Yun didn't see a lot of surveillance cameras along the way. Nor did he see a courtyard full of patrols. It seemed that Green Ghost was indeed confident in the 8-door gods and the surrounding surveillance facilities. I'll park the car directly in a place where there's no one. If I leave after an hour, what will you do? Wang Ruping tried to make himself look calm. This car key is for you. I'm worried that you won't be able to get out after the automatic lock. Soo-Yun took the key and smiled faintly. He didn't expect Wang Ruping to be so careful. Then you don't have to worry. Soon the car stopped in front of the biggest villa in the lakeside scenery. Soo-Yun saw 2 people coming from afar to greet him, and immediately bent down. Wang Ruping whispered, "Be careful." Then he picked up the tea leaves on the passenger seat, opened the door and got out of the car. "Director Wang, why are you here?" The person who came up to greet Wang Ruping smiled and said politely. Wang Ruping waved the gift in his hand. "Of course I'm here to have a chat with Master Qing and drink some tea. Also, I want to apologize to Master Qing for not being able to bring that little female star yesterday. I wonder if Master Qing is satisfied with the girl I sent over at the last minute?" "Director Wang, you're really polite. Please come in." Seeing Wang Ruping leave with the 2 people, Soo-Yun opened the door and got out of the car as fast as he could. Then he rolled on the ground and hid under a car next to him. The 2 people beside Wang Ruping were attracted by the sound of the car door. They stopped and looked back. Wang Ruping's forehead couldn't help but exude a thin layer of sweat. He picked up the car key and pressed the lock button, muttering to himself, "Oh look, I forgot to lock the car. My brain is really not working well." The 2 people next to him thought that he was overthinking, so they responded with a smile. "Director Wang, even if you forgot to close the door, no one would dare to touch your car here." "Ah, yes. Master Qing, this must be the safest place in Swang," Wang Ruping said as he was led into the villa. As soon as he entered, Wang Ruping saw a live pornographic picture. Green Ghost's hair was messy and his eyes were blurry. He spent more than 12 hours with women every day, and it was all because of his cultivation deviation. He needed women to balance his yin and yang, so he was immersed in this kind of debauchery every day. On the sofa, there were 2 scantily clad girls entangled with him. It seemed that the women sent by Wang Ruping were quickly trained into obedient female slaves by Green Ghost. After seeing Wang Ruping, Green Ghost didn't get up. With a lazy smile on his face he said, "Director Wang, today doesn't seem to be the day we meet every week. He. Could it be that you've just given me a girl yesterday, and now you have a new one? Director Wang is really a good friend." Wang Ruping laughed and tried his best to avoid looking at the 2 scantily clad girls. "Master Qing, I'm here today to apologize to you. I promised to get you a small star, but I didn't do it. To tell you the truth, I've always been a man of my words. I'm really sorry about this." Green Ghost narrowed his eyes and slapped the 2 girls' butts. Scram. Finally, there were no more moans in the living room, and Wang Ruping could finally sit across from Green Ghost. After Wang Ruping sat down, Green Ghost had an expectant smile on his face. "Director Wang, don't feel bad. How are you going to apologize? Although we're brothers, I definitely won't refuse an apology. Did you really get me that Ling Jiling?" Wang Ruping shook his head apologetically. "I didn't get Ling Jiling, but I heard that Master Qing likes to drink tiguanyin, so I brought you some good Anqi tiguanyin." The smile on Green Ghost's face disappeared. "Director Wang, you're not sincere enough. You want to dismiss me with this little tiguanyin? Director Wang, although I promised you that I wouldn't cause too much trouble in Swang, I only said that I would try my best." How could Wang Ruping not understand Green Ghost's threat? He hurriedly smiled and said, "Master Qing, I naturally have to be sincere when I apologize. This tea can't represent my apology. Let's chat while drinking tea. I want to invite Master Qing to a fun place tonight." Hee hee, don't you like to play with stars? I've prepared two for you there. He. Director Wang, you're really my good friend. When Green Ghost heard this, a smile appeared on his face again. This Wang was really a good place. There were so many beauties, and Director Wang of the Justice Bureau was also so sensible. It seemed that he really didn't come to the wrong place. But the only thing that made him unhappy was that he didn't eliminate the Feng sect completely. That little girl and Cho Yun had actually escaped the net. And the fish that escaped the net were so beautiful. Every time Green Ghost thought of Cho Yun, he felt a sense of eagerness. But that woman didn't know how to appreciate his kindness. If she was willing to follow him, he could guarantee that she would be second only to him and above everyone else. Cho Yun and the little girl from the Feng family not only ran away, but also caused a huge mess in the small city of Hudong City in Jiangbei province. The 4 first-class masters by his side all died there. In addition to the 3 second-class masters that he sent before, Green Ghost had already lost 7 people in Hudong City. In the Ghost sect, he was the first to set up his own sect. After entering the underground world, all the forces that Green Ghost developed were more ambitious than the other giants in the underground world. From the way he recruited people, all of his subordinates were masters who had just entered the door. He didn't want ordinary people. If these people didn't follow him, he would kill them. These people could only survive if they followed him, so all of Green Ghost's subordinates were forced by him through violent means. But because of this, he could easily take down the Feng family in Suang. Because other than Cho Yun who could hold up the table, the rest of Feng Qiansui's subordinates were second-class masters who admired his reputation. Although Feng Qiansui was a famous fierce man when he was young, he had become a fat piece of meat in the eyes of Qing Gui because of his old age and the pain of losing his son. After taking down Feng Qiansui, not only did Green Ghost have his own forces, but he also had the name of Huaxia's underground world. At least he became a formidable person. Now, the leaders of Huaxia's underground world were all from the previous generation. Green Ghost wanted to tell them that they were already eliminated from the underground world. He wanted to eliminate them one by one. Perhaps it was because of his wild ambition that he really cleaned out the Feng family from the underground world in Suang, which was why Nether King Lung Chen looked at him differently. But he didn't know that if Green Ghost hadn't received help from Nether King Lung Chen at the most crucial moment, he wouldn't have been able to deal with the chaotic Suang underground world. After all of his powerful subordinates had fallen under the hands of Su Yun in Hudong City. Now that he thought of the person who had caused him so much trouble, Green Ghost's fists were still clenched. Originally, Green Ghost wanted to go to Hudong City to deal with Su Yun, who had caused him so much trouble. However, once Nether King Lung Chen's subordinates left, the entire Suang relied on him to suppress it. If he left again, who knew if someone would cause trouble again? If he didn't have the ability to suppress the Suang underground world, and repeatedly asked Nether King Lung Chen for help, then he would be no different from trash in Lung Chen's eyes. The dignified Nether King would not help a piece of trash over and over again. Therefore, even though Green Ghost gritted his teeth in hatred, he didn't take a step into Hudong City. If he couldn't bear it, then he would mess up great plans. While there were still undercurrents in Suang, he definitely wouldn't leave. It was at this time that Green Ghost colluded with Wang Ruping. Wang Ruping had connections with many people in Suhong's underground world, so Green Ghost hoped to control the entire Suang underground world by controlling him. Under the dual pressure of money and coercion, Wang Ruping had indeed established a special friendship with Green Ghost. Wang Ruping had received a huge sum of money from Green Ghost, and had personally seen Green Ghost tear a person in half, so his fear of Green Ghost was greater than anything else. Green Ghost originally hoped that Wang Ruping would help him stabilize all the undercurrents in Suang before going to Hudong City to settle the score with Su Yun. However, he didn't expect to catch Cho Yun, who wanted to sneak into the lakeside villa area 2 nights ago. Cho Yun had come late at night 2 days ago. Although she had tried her best to avoid the surveillance around the wall, she was still caught by Green Ghost's comprehensive surveillance system that had no blind spots. Right now, the people around Green Ghost weren't Cho Yun's match, but he could easily control Cho Yun. Green Ghost knew Cho Yun's personality. If he dared to touch her, she might really kill herself. Green Ghost didn't want the best bait for Su-Yun to die, so he held back his thoughts. Now that Cho-Yun was in his hands, he believed that he didn't need to go to Hudong City anymore. The kid who had caused him so much trouble in Hudong City would definitely come to Swang to find Cho-Yun. When that time came, this place would be his territory. Master Green, this tea is old tea that can't be bought on the market. Try it and see if it's to your taste. Wang Ruping's tea fragrance interrupted Green Ghost's deep hatred for Su-Yun. Green Ghost picked up a cup of tea and slowly tasted it. He smiled and said, "Director Wang, you said that you prepared 2 little female stars for me tonight. You won't go back on your word this time, right? I can't afford to be disappointed twice." Of course not, of course not," Wang Ruping said with certainty. Chapter 254. Su-Yun hid under the car for a full 10 minutes. He had to make sure that everything around him was safe before he dared to make a move. Before entering the villa district, he could relax a little, but every step he took here, he had to make sure that everything was 100% safe. His tense nerves told him that once he was discovered, he wouldn't have a second chance to come in. Of course, there was another voice fighting with him in his heart. If they really fought, Su-Yun didn't have 100% confidence in dealing with Green Ghost, but he believed that he could escape. However, the premise was that he had to make sure that Cho-Yun hadn't fallen into Green Ghost's hands. If Cho-Yun had fallen into Green Ghost's hands, Su-Yun would only stimulate Green Ghost's nerves and increase the danger to Cho-Yun's life. There were 8 villas in the Lakeside Villa area. If Qin Club's boss Chao Nanshan's words were true, then these 8 villas were all Green Ghost's people. After Su-Yun's inspection, the other 7 villas didn't seem to have anyone living there at all. From the looks of it, even if they weren't occupied by Green Ghost, no one would dare to stay there. If that was the case, it wasn't hard for Su-Yun to confirm that Green Ghost was living in Feng Qiansui's house. There were no less than 10 people wandering around the house. Su-Yun couldn't sneak in to see if Cho-Yun had been captured. This made Su-Yun feel a little helpless. It was impossible to enter the villa without disturbing Green Ghost. Just as Su-Yun was racking his brains and didn't know what to do, 2 patrolling Green Ghost subordinates suddenly came from afar. Su-Yun quickly hid his body in the thick green belt of the villa area. He held his breath and let his aura completely disappear. The 2 people chatted as they passed by Su-Yun, but they didn't find anything wrong. "Our boss hasn't left the house for 3 days. Do you think it's necessary for him to be so careful?" The conversation between the 2 quickly caught Su-Yun's attention. Another person shook his head. "We definitely don't understand. Ever since Mountain Cat, Goshawk, and Demon Beast were all killed when they were sent to track down the Violent Fox Venerable, Red Scorpion, Monk, Scar, and Leopard Lady were all killed. Our boss only has us as his subordinates. The 13 Grand Guardians under Pluto also left. Boss is afraid that someone will find trouble with him." "But isn't the Violent Fox Venerable being used as bait by boss?" The person who spoke at the beginning spoke again. Stop talking. Boss didn't allow them to talk about this. Are you crazy? Don't lose your life if they hear you." That person hurriedly stopped him and said, "Boss doesn't dare to go out because he's afraid that once he leaves, our place will be empty. Let's go and take over the shift. Those 2 bastards at the door are going to complain again." Okay. As the 2 of them spoke, they quickened their pace and walked towards the entrance. Su-Yun frowned. Cho-Yun had already been captured? It seemed that she really wasn't prepared to listen to his warning from the beginning. This matter was troublesome. Green Ghost had been sitting here and refused to go out. Cho-Yun was definitely imprisoned in that villa. As long as Green Ghost didn't leave, Su-Yun could only go head-to-head to save her. If Green Ghost used Cho-Yun as a threat, he was afraid that he would really die here. Su-Yun could only pin all his hopes on Wang Ruping. He could only hope that Wang Ruping could persuade Green Ghost. If Green Ghost went to the Qin Club with Wang Ruping at night to play with those 2 little celebrities, then he really had a chance. Thinking of this, Su-Yun didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He actually put his hopes on a corrupt official who he couldn't wait to take off his black hat. If this was in the past, Su-Yun wouldn't have believed it even if he was beaten to death. Without waiting for Su-Yun to come out of his hiding place, 2 more patrollers passed by. It seemed that this damned place was a passageway. It really wasn't good to stay here for long. Although they had only arrived at the lakeside villa in the blink of an eye, Soo-yun looked at the time. It had been more than 40 minutes. He had to find a way to get on the car now. Otherwise, he was afraid that it would be too late. Soo-yun was on guard against the patrollers while being careful of the cameras everywhere. He once again returned to the off-road vehicle where he first hid. At the same time, Wang Ruping also walked out of the villa. His expression looked like he had made an appointment with Green Ghost. This was too much of a coincidence. Soo-yun looked at the time. It had only been 53 minutes. Now that Wang Ruping had come out, if Soo-yun opened the door and went in again, someone would definitely notice that there was something wrong with the car. Seeing that Wang Ruping was sent to the front of the car by the 2 people, Soo-yun could only clench his teeth and directly roll under Wang Ruping's car. This move was indeed too risky. Just as Wang Ruping walked to the front of the driver's seat, his ankle was gently grabbed by Soo-yun. Wang Ruping almost screamed on the spot. Fortunately, his many years of experience allowed him to quickly recover his calmness. He also quickly figured out who had grabbed him. Soo-yun saw that Wang Ruping trembled, and then calmed down. He carefully used his finger to write on his ankle. "I'm under the car, walk slowly." When the first 2 words were written, Wang Ruping didn't react. However, the words "under the car" and "walk slowly" made him clearly understand what Soo-yun meant. Soo-yun believed that a person who could climb from an educated youth in the countryside to his current position must not be made of sh*t. "Director Wang, did you forget something?" Of the 2 people who sent Wang Ruping out, the taller one asked with a puzzled expression. Wang Ruping hurriedly shook his head. No, hee, please go back, please go back. There will be many opportunities for us to meet in the future. If there is a chance, I will definitely invite the 2 of you to Qing Club to have fun together. When the 2 heard this, they were so happy that they couldn't close their mouths. "Director Wang is too polite. Hee, I hope you and Green Master have fun tonight. Take care, we won't send you off." Wang Ruping got into the car. He originally hoped that after the 2 people left, he would let Soo-yun get into the car and leave. However, the 2 people stood by the side and watched him leave. Wang Ruping had no choice but to bite the bullet and start the car. This car was under the ground. He didn't dare to believe that a person could drive away under the car. Therefore, Wang Ruping's speed was as slow as possible. However, after driving for more than 10 meters, he didn't feel any scratches on the chassis of the car, so he felt a little relieved. However, this didn't mean that Wang Ruping could relax. He was still worried that a group of people would swarm up and completely surround him. And then, after driving 200 meters away from the lakeside villa community, Wang Ruping finally felt relieved. He quickly stopped the car, opened the door, and jumped out. He just happened to bump into Soo-yun, who came out from under the car. Soo-yun swept the dust off his body with his hand and said to Wang Ruping, "Are you sure you asked Green Ghost out tonight?" Wang Ruping stared at Soo-yun with an incredulous and surprised expression. He couldn't believe that Soo-yun could really crawl under the car and follow him out. I asked him to go to the Qing Club tonight, and he agreed. If that's the case, will you do something to him tonight?" When Soo-yun heard the word "you," he couldn't help but want to laugh. It seemed that Wang Ruping really believed that he wasn't alone. "No, I just hope that you have fun with Green Ghost tonight." Soo-yun smiled. "Remember to give me a clear message when you arrive at the Qing Club. Also, if you have fun, give me a message after it's over." Wang Ruping nodded. "So you mean that you won't do anything to Green Ghost tonight? Then why did you go in today?" Soo-yun raised his eyebrows and casually said 4 words. "Install a bomb." Wang Ruping's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. His face was so shocked that he couldn't close his mouth. Bomb. In other words, Soo-yun came with a bomb in his car. If he was discovered midway, it would be a dead end. "Do you believe it?" Soo-yun asked again. This time, Wang Ruping was really confused. "In short, your only task now is to inform me after you bring Green Ghost to the Qing Club. Let him play there as long as possible. I'll leave my phone number with you. Tell me your situation at any time. Now, do what you need to do." If you feel that someone is following you, Don't contact me. Wang Ruping looked at Su Yun seriously. Could it be your people following me? Our people call that surveillance, Su Yun said with a wave of his hand. Then he strode forward alone. Also, our people won't let you know that they are watching you. Do you understand? Wang Ruping looked at Su Yun's figure walking away, and raised his head to look around. Was it true or not? However, he would rather believe it than not. Now, even if there was only air around him, Wang Ruping felt that there were many pairs of eyes staring at him. Su Yun quickly left Wang Ruping's sight. He didn't dare to say whether he would succeed in luring the snake out of its hole this time, but at least now there was some hope. Although he was basically sure that Cho Yun had been caught by Green Ghost, it seemed that Green Ghost didn't do anything to Cho Yun. Using Cho Yun as bait? It seemed that Green Ghost really wanted to catch Su Yun like a fish. Su Yun smiled coldly. Unfortunately, he wasn't an ordinary fish but a shark. It wouldn't be that easy to catch him with bait. Su Yun wanted to let Green Ghost have a taste of what it was like to fail at fishing and lose the bait. However, before Wang Ruping brought Green Ghost to the lake of wine and forest of meat, Su Yun had to rest. He didn't sleep for the whole night, and now he just wanted to go back and have a good sleep. Otherwise, even if Green Ghost gave him a chance tonight, the dozens of masters in the Lakeside Villa community weren't to be trifled with. Since leaving the Dragon Fury team, Su Yun hadn't participated in any large-scale killing. First, he felt that his identity was different, and second, he was worried about the outbreak of his inner demon. Now it was much better. The inner demon had already broken out. Not only did it not kill him, but it also helped him break through to the realm of a supermaster. As for his identity, all the members of the Dragon Fury team went to the border between Eastern Europe and Western Asia to carry out a mission. Wang Yi still had to call him to inform him, which meant that he still had the power to do some things that he could have done in the past. Chapter 255. Before sending people to the guillotine, they had to give them a drumstick and a bowl of wine. Su Yun was going to break through the gates of hell tonight, so of course he had to relax. After returning to the hotel and eating, he suggested finding some entertainment in the afternoon to pass the time. Ling Jiling nodded, showing that she supported Su Yun's idea. Thus, the two turned their gazes to Wu Yuandong, who had been to Suang no less than 100 times. Do you want to see the scenery or do you want to play something leisurely or exciting? Wu Yuandong knew a lot about the places to eat, drink, and play in the city. He had driven Zuomeyan to meetings many times, and he had the whole day free. It would be a pity if he didn't play or eat. Besides, all expenses were covered by Zuomeyan. What do you think? Su Yun looked at Ling Jiling. Ladies first, as long as you were a gentleman, you would know this principle. Even if you weren't a gentleman, you would still fight for the girl's opinion at this time. Ling Jiling rolled her eyes for a long time, then asked Su Yun tentatively, how about we play something exciting? I think that's fine. Su Yun gave a thumbs up. The goddess really turned into a tough woman in a second. She actually wanted to play something exciting with him. It looked like she really didn't care about her image. Wu Yuandong thought for a long time before giving a suggestion. Then let's go to the fantasy water world. Extreme shuttle, sky skateboard, super whirlpool. They're all quite exciting. I think that's fine. Su Yun instantly thought of a perfect scene. The essential thing to play in the water was a swimsuit. The thought of Ling Jiling wearing a swimsuit and screaming next to him was quite exciting. To highlight the point, a swimsuit. Ling Jiling was startled at first, but seeing that Su Yun was so interested, she really didn't want to dampen his interest. Although she believed that Su Yun was a gentleman who would consider a girl's thoughts, in the end, he was still their Sky Entertainment's young master. Okay, then we have to buy a swimsuit first. Ling Jiling also let go. She had never experienced the feeling of playing in an amusement park like a normal person. She put on her exaggerated sunglasses, which covered most of her face. I don't think anyone will recognize me like this, right? Su Yun gave him a thumbs up. I didn't recognize you. She thought to herself that if she took off her clothes and changed into a bikini, the effect would be even better. Probably not many people had seen Sister Qi Ling wearing a bikini in real life, right? What was shown in the movies might not be real. Nowadays, there were so many body doubles, and there were so many delicate models. In that case, Wu Yuandong took the car key and stood up saying, "Then let's go. Then let's go to arena to buy a swimsuit first." Ling Jiling stood up as she packed her bag. A star was a star. She really had a good taste in life. She just went to the water world once. She could have just bought something on the spot. Why did she have to go to arena to buy a swimsuit? She was not a professional athlete. Perhaps no one knew that since the swimmer who wore arena for the first time at the 1976 Montreal Olympic Games won 27 gold medals in one fell swoop, more and more top swimmers in the world chose to wear arena to various international swimming competitions. But everyone knew that this brand of swimsuit was really expensive. Wu Yuandong drove to the street with the most brands in Suang, and quickly found the arena store according to the location of the navigation. This price was indeed expensive. Su Yun casually looked at two bikinis that were covered with two pieces of cloth, and they cost 500 to 600 yuan. This was only the ordinary model. The fancier bikinis hanging inside, who knows how much it would cost? "Hello sir, hello miss. Would you like to choose a swimsuit? The outside is for the beginner stage. There are amateur fitness, fun and leisure, and professional competition." A salesgirl introduced and greeted them. "Our arena is a professional swimsuit manufacturer." The salesgirl talked a lot, and Ling Jiling didn't care. While listening, she walked in with the salesgirl. Seeing that no one recognized her, Ling Jiling was quite satisfied with her oversized sunglasses. It seemed that she would take this with her when she went out alone in the future. Su Yin was not in the mood to listen to the introduction of another salesgirl, who came up to greet him. He casually said to Wu Yuandong beside him, "Brother Dong, choose one. I'll give it to you." Wu Yuandong waved his hand. "No, there's my travel kit in the trunk. There's everything in it, hee. You're still well prepared." Su Yin couldn't help but sigh with emotion. He casually picked up a triangular navy blue swimming trunks from the low-price section. There were only 3 fish scales on it. He muttered to himself, "I'll take this. It looks quite comfortable. It definitely won't hurt my little brother." Ling Jiling and the 2 female sales assistants blushed instantly. Su Yin was really talking to herself. She didn't expect the listener to take her words to heart while the speaker didn't mean it. The 2 salesgirls were fine. After all, there were all kinds of people who came to buy swimsuits. Many nouveau riche and hooligans were even more unscrupulous when they talked. Some hooligans would even say the size of their lower body, and ask them if they could put it down. So when they saw that Su Yun's words were unintentional, they quickly calmed down. But Ling Jiling didn't calm down so easily. Because on the first night when she slept in the same bed with Su Yun, she woke up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. When she came back, she happened to see Su Yun kicking the quilt away. The scene of Su Yun erecting a small tent with a pillar supporting the sky was really a reflection of the lyrics of a song. "Your existence is deep in my mind." So Su Yun's unintentional words just now really made Ling Jiling's feelings very complicated. "What the F asterisk CK, just a pair of briefs and you want me to pay 280 yuan. Are you kidding me?" Su Yun only saw the price tag now. He thought that since it was placed in the special section at the door, it must be cheap. "Sir, the shorts you chose are professional competition shorts. It's on special sale now. The original price is 499 yuan. The salesgirl introduced. Su Yun directly threw it back. "Then find me a beginner level one. As long as you can guarantee that it won't be torn by me and my little baby won't be exposed, then it's fine. I just want to wear it once. Don't make it so expensive." Although Su Yun's words were a bit blunt, the salesgirl still patiently picked up a pair of black boxers with yellow edges and said to Su Yun, "Then you can choose this pair. Sir, this pair is on special sale now for 152 yuan. The original price is 199 yuan. This is already the cheapest men's swimsuit in our shop." Su Yun frowned. He really didn't understand. This flat corner was obviously made of more fabric than the triangular one. Why was it cheaper? At this time, Ling Jiling picked up a pair of knee-length men's swimming trunks with a drainage line from the professional competition section, and said to Su Yun, "I think this is pretty good. I'll take this." I'll help you decide. I'll pay. The saleswoman next to her was smiling like a blooming flower. She praised Ling Jiling. Miss, you have good taste. This gentleman is so lucky to have found such a considerate girlfriend. This is a professional swimming trunks. Although I know you are not using it for competitions, I believe this gentleman will be very satisfied with the experience it brings after wearing it. Girlfriend? Su Yun and Ling Jiling couldn't help but be stunned. How much is it? Su Yun frowned. The professional competition shorts were already 280 yuan. Wouldn't this knee-length pair be a few hundred yuan? 1,000 yuan. Su Yun really wanted to spit out his soda. 1,000 yuan. Unless this pair of swimming trunks could give him an orgasm. He felt like he was losing out big time. If the person who bought this thing wasn't a professional athlete, then it must be an idiot with a lot of money. Wrap it up. Ling Jiling said casually. In the end, Su Yun didn't spit out the words he wanted to say to save her face. Forget it, it was her treat anyway. As the #1 sister of Sky Entertainment, it wasn't too much for Su Yun to charge her a pair of swimming trunks that cost 1,000 yuan. After choosing the swimming trunks for Su Yun, Ling Jiling smiled slightly. Then can you help me choose one? What style do you think I want? Do you even need to ask? Of course it's a bikini. Su Yun said without hesitation. A bikini can increase a woman's sex appeal by several times. One-piece swimsuits are for aunties. If you think you're an auntie, then pretend I didn't say anything. Of course, Ling Jiling liked bikinis, but she was going to a public entertainment venue alone. Wearing a bikini would make her feel much less safe. But Su Yun's words were reasonable. One-piece swimsuits were for aunties. Then, won't it be too revealing? Ling Jiling asked with a slightly worried expression. It's covered where it should be covered. Is it revealing? Su Yun shrugged and shook his head. I don't think it's revealing at all. There are only two kinds of people who think it's revealing. Either they're old-fashioned, or they're really evil people. These two kinds of people have nothing to do with me. That's why I like bikinis. Ling Jiling really liked listening to Su Yun. Then choose one for me. Su Yun raised his head and looked around. Since Ling Jiling didn't care about the money, he didn't mind choosing casually. You have such a good figure, so any style and color on you will show off a woman's sex appeal and charm. I think the collage of bright flowers will suit you better, because that kind of fashion isn't something that just anyone can wear, but you can. A belt on the back and a deep, low collar. This is synonymous with the ultimate sex appeal. And that should be a 3-piece set with a spaghetti strap skirt on the outside. If there are too many people who are prejudiced, you can also wear the outer one. After Su Yun finished speaking, the shop assistant had already taken down the 3-piece bikini set. Her eyes lit up as she praised Su Yun. Sir, you really know how to compare bikinis. It's the first time I admire a customer. And this dress is really suitable for your girlfriend. It's very compatible with her sexy temperament. I really feel that your girlfriend is like a big star, Sister Ling Jiling. Su Yun and Ling Jiling looked at each other. Now, neither of them had the time to care about being misunderstood as a couple. They were only afraid that their true identities would be exposed. This is it. Ling Jiling didn't even look at the price. She directly bought the bikini that cost 1,599 yuan. After swiping the card, the two quickly got into the car and left the store under Wu Yuandong's lead. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.